I talk to my computer all the time.
I've shown the defendant Exhibit 125, the 911 call. We will play that, just have the witness identify himself.
She chose herself as a defense. She chose to be her own lawyer. I know, I can't believe it either. Thank you, Hopi. I know, me too. I'm not going to act like I don't.
You can approach with the
I'm authentic.
computer.
Yes.
Now what I am going to do is I'm going to speed it up as long as we're still good to hear and understand. Because
Brandon, you can just listen to that. Have you listened to your 911 call before?
I have, yeah.
Thank you,
You can
Jess.
listen to that and let us know if you recognize that as your 911 call. And
This
as
is
your
her
voice.
third and, as of right now, final trial. Why is there so much Michelle in this picture? Damn. Fix it. Is that better? That was way too much Michelle. Involving Proctor. Will you message that to me? Hi, Lori. I'm doing good. How are you, Angie? We will be covering that case as well, just so you know. I wish they would set a trial date for Rex Heuermann already. We're almost there. We're almost there. All right, are we ready? Ready? Oh, yeah, she's absolutely guilty. She's batshit crazy. No, I'm not, but I'm starting to feel like when only a self-appointed attorney. I'll just call myself self-appointed. I know, Cher. I know. Murders happen all the time, so. Yes, I am, Lauren. Oh, Mamma Mia, I have her last trial on my YouTube. It's under her. I have a folder that's called Lori Daybell or Lori. I don't know if that one's Val or Daybell. But if on my TikTok, there's a tab above my videos that says Lori Vallow Daybell. That is the one that you need. I have done so much coverage on this. And I even included, we watched it yesterday, but I even included her statement at sentencing for her first trial. That is what you need to check out to start with. You are so welcome. That is true, but it's my own shit show, so I'm okay with that. I would never be my own lawyer. The best advice you guys could ever give anyone is don't be your own lawyer. You fell asleep to ask. Oh my God. Thank you for the follow. All right. Yes, I am, Mel. Yes. Are we ready to rumble? Let's get going. I know, but someone had asked if I was earlier, and I said self-appointed. I mean, at this point, I feel like a damn attorney.
Yes, this is my 911 call.
Thank you. Member of the state will move to admit Exhibit 125. Thank you. Member of the state will move to admit Exhibit 125 pursuant to 8031, 8032, and 902.
This is day one. Yes, we will be doing day two as well. We've got a lot. I pray to God the signal does not go out again. If those towers go down again, I'm going to have a conniption. So if I disappear, that's what happened. Out again. If those towers go down again, I'm going to have a conniption. So if I disappear, that's what happened. Thank you, Katie.
No objection. Submitted.
And if we can publish that.
Go ahead.
Guys, as we're listening, if you could do me a favor and tap this side, I would greatly appreciate it. Right? I'm better than Brennan, totally. If only I could get that kind of pay. Thank you.
Judy, I moved to a new home about a week ago.
What kind of vehicle is it that drove?
October 2nd, 2019.
This is yesterday's. We'll be doing yesterday and then going into today's.
911, where's your emergency?
Someone just shot my window.
Okay,
They're
where?
in a Jeep. I'm in the Cooley Station neighborhood. I was pulling in my house at 38755 East.
Yes.
Wait, but I can see them driving off.
The
Okay,
911
someone
call.
shot at your vehicle?
Yeah, and it hit my window. It shattered my driver's side window.
Wait, hold on. Where did you hear that, Eileen? Oh, thank you. See, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. Where did you hear that the FBI needed to talk to Bev? Can somebody Google, is there a Brady list? Can you add a judge to a Brady list or a Gilgo list? They're the same thing. I want to know if she did have to. Where's the rumor start?
Okay, when you pulled into his driveway?
As I was trying to pull in my driveway. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm a little off breath. They just drove off. I saw them drive off.
Okay. Do you know who these people are?
I have no idea. I moved into a new home about a week ago.
What kind of vehicle is it that drove away?
Jeep Wrangler, had a Texas plate on it. It was,
Jeep
It
Wrangler?
was, yeah, it was olive green.
Olive green? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Hold
okay,
on just
thank
a
you.
second. Texas license plate?
yeah. I think it's like,
By chance, was it Boozy Beauty? Her more, but not completely because I don't know her. But yeah, it would be totally rumor. I just wanted to know where it started at. I'm nosy as hell. Thank you, Presley. No? Okay, then I'm good. Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I got a
No,
little
that's okay. That's all right.
Damn it.
Oh, which
We
way
need-
did they go? Do you
We need to put a note in the suggestion box.
remember?
You're driving south towards Pecos Road, between Pecos and Redford.
Okay.
She's very educated. Both
Okay.
of them are.
You don't see the vehicle anymore?
No, they left. They drove off.
Did you see how many people were in the Jeep? Sir?
Yeah,
Hello? Oh, did you see how many people were in the Jeep?
there must have been at least two because somebody shot at me and then somebody else drove off, and I don't think they had enough time to go climb from the back into the front.
Right, okay.
We love you
And then
too.
do you have any injuries? Did they shoot at you?
They shot at me, it hit my window, it bounced off. It might not have been a real gun. It might have been.
What about me? You want to believe me? We've been to hell and back. I'm just kidding.
It was loud, but it might have been like a paintball gun or something. 'Cause, I mean, it should have hit me or it's just gone through my window. It just
Okay.
shattered it. It didn't go through.
Okay. Okay. And your window is shattered?
Yeah,
Okay. And you have no idea who these people are?
no idea.
Right, okay.
They were just parked like right in front of my
I
house.
know.
Okay. They were parked out. So they were parked across the street in front of your house?
You know, in front, like in front, right on the same side of the street as my house, right in front of there's a minivan there. They're just parked right in front of that.
Okay.
I'm pulling in my house because they're gone.
He looks totally haunted.
Okay. Where are you at right now?
In the
Where are you at?
in my car at my house at 3
Okay.
East Bell Street. I'm gonna walk over here and see if I can see what they shot at me.
And what kind of car were you in?
I'm in a black Tesla Model X.
It's a black what?
Tesla Model X.
Okay, black Tesla Model X. Okay.
He is Brandon Brideau, the one that she conspired to unalive, allegedly, which is guilty. She totally did it,
Okay.
in my opinion. No, I mean, she really did all that horrible stuff. So, I mean,
All right. I do have officers on the way to meet you.
get myself in trouble.
Do you want to go inside or do you want to wait outside? Wherever you
I'll
feel.
wait out here. Yeah. I don't know that it was a real gun. Maybe it was. I can't tell. I don't think it was because my window should have gone through my window.
She believed, well, anyone that disagrees with her or her now husband, Chad, if you don't agree with them, they say that you are dark or you are a Z, meaning like a zombie. Basically, your soul was taken out of your body and a bad soul was put into it. I know. Trust me, I know.
Okay. All right. And what is your name?
My name's Brandon Boudreau.
And your phone number? Okay. Okay. I'm going to stay on the line with you just to make sure you're safe, just in case they come back. Do you have any weapons on you?
No.
Okay. Okay. Do you see the officer pulling up?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Looks like he's coming up Phelps. You said 3875 East Phelps, correct?
Correct. I wonder if he's on this another section of it. He might be.
Not that much, because I put it all in one file for you. And I don't remember what I said, honestly.
Another section.
Okay, because yeah, his car is showing right near Fisher Lane and Phelps Street.
I'm at, what is this, cross street? Sorry, I just moved over here. Yeah, I'm at Fisher and Phelps. I don't see it.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Her daughter
funny,
was
his
starting
car-
to, yeah.
The car was showing there for a second, and now it's showing back at Higley and Pecos, so that's kind of weird.
Wonder if he saw the Jeep drive off or something.
Maybe. I know that there's actually an officer that's heading towards you, and then there's other officers that are dispatched that are looking for the car. So we've got several guys looking out for the car, but we have one headed towards your house.
Make sure you have your cashews ready.
I think he accidentally hit his arrive button is what happened, because he's still moving. So just out of nowhere, did you see the guy that
I didn't see who it was. It was weird because I was pulling in and I saw Jeep, Texas plate, and I thought, oh, that's weird. You know, my neighbor must have someone visiting, and then they like lifted up their little back window in their Jeep, and I saw like a muzzle, and then I heard a snap and my window shattered. So I just, instead of turning into my driveway, I just hit the gas and drove off
Because she thinks she's a goddess and she's above everybody else, and she does no wrong in her mind.
I didn't know. And kind of when I got my bearings, I realized I should call 911.
Okay.
Maybe they have OnStar?
So then I drove, and then I didn't drive very far. I just drove around the corner and waited for you guys to pick up, and then I kind of saw them come around the corner and go down the road and start driving down south towards Pecos and Brecker.
Okay. And did they look like
I knew that was the only way out. I didn't see a person at all. I didn't get to see a person.
Okay.
Sorry.
I knew there was only one way out of Pecos Manor, and that's down there on Pecos Road, so that's what I told you that.
Okay. All right. I do see the officer pulling up on Fisher from Fairview.
Okay. So he's coming from the other way.
This is exactly where it cut
Going on
off
right now. I'll take him in
yesterday.
just a sec.
Okay.
I see him.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and let you go.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
October 2nd, 2019.
That's exactly where it cut off yesterday, because I remember I was in the middle saying, oh my God, did you guys hear that? He said Fairview too. What are the odds of 2 cases being on Fairview? And that's why I'm like looking at my cell phone signal really quick, because I'm like, don't you do it again. Oh, no.
I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you told the 911 operator. You mentioned in the call that you thought it might be a paintball gun because it should have gone through the window. When you were saying this, were you at all contemplating that there's no paint on your window?
No.
Were you sort of that frantic, you're just trying to come up with excuses or ways to explain what happened?
I was just trying to figure out why a bullet didn't come through the window. A bullet should always go through the window was what was going on in my mind. So I was trying to come up with a reason.
So you didn't know through this whole call that your car itself had been hit?
No.
We hear that you, when you got into the driveway, a loud crash.
Yes.
What was that?
When I put my car into park, it automatically opened that door, and then the whole window just fell right there. And most of it kind of stayed together. Like I think the window tint or something held a lot of it together, but also a lot of it didn't. And it was like all over inside my car and all over on the a little bit on the.
The prosecutor speaking. Her name is Trina Kay. What was her reason for going after her niece's husband? One of the ones that has been listed is that she had come to the conclusion that he was helping her fourth husband to try to get her, I can't remember what it's called, the church pass taken away. Something with the religion. I cannot remember what it's called. I'm sorry. And she didn't want him to have help. She also said that he hacked her computer too. She said a lot of stuff. Yes, recommend. Thank you, Mel. Thanks. See, that's what you guys complete me. Complete me.
Driveway.
Okay. You also told them that you thought there might be two people. Why did you think that?
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out how someone could have been laying in the back shooting at you and gotten into the front and gotten out of there so quick. I was thinking that you'd had to jump over a chair. It seemed like they moved very quickly. So I think I was just trying to come up with a logical reason how they could have moved so fast.
We can have the Elmo again, please. Thank you.
No one.
Putting
Literally.
exhibit 1 back up here.
Except for Chad.
So this is the residence that you were arriving back to, correct?
Correct.
And your car was facing this direction, west?
Correct.
And so the Jeep itself was also facing west?
Correct.
When you drove up to the pool, is that in this area off of Cole?
Yes.
And were you all the way up here before you saw
I
the
love
Jeep
this stuff.
turn onto wait?
I was, yes.
So there was some time actually before the Jeep was able to follow and catch up with you.
This
Correct.
stuff
I think
is gold.
in your mind, everything's happening so fast. I was just surprised by how quickly they were moving, but listening to it, for instance, you can hear that there was a lot more time that elapsed than what you thought in the moment.
So time when you were going through this stressful situation
this.
seemed faster to you. And now listening to the 911 call that you're talking while this was occurring, you can tell it's a little slower.
Yes.
Do you recall where you were when you were able to finally get your phone and start calling 911?
I was at the end there of Phelps Street, about to turn onto Cole and then I had to unlock my phone, so it took me a couple more seconds around the corner to get it.
Okay. So you were able to drive down Phelps, get into your phone and get up to Cole and park there. And then you saw the Jeep also turn on Cole and then turn on wait.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
I love that stuff.
Did you ever see anyone
As in a
in the
person,
vehicle, in the Jeep?
I didn't see who was driving the Jeep.
When you saw the rear window go up, you couldn't see who was in the back?
I didn't get a look at a person, no.
And then when the Jeep turned, you're looking in your rearview mirror towards it?
Yes, and then because I noticed it, I turned my body and looked out across.
And so as the Jeep came up Cole and turned onto wait, you were not able to see who the driver was?
No.
In the 911 call, we hear the 911 operator refer to the officer as a he. Was the first officer on scene a male or female?
Female.
When the female arrived, you got off the call with 911?
I did, yes.
And did you speak with her and then walk her over to your car?
I did, yes.
And did she point out this bullet hole in your car?
She did, yes.
When you saw that, what happened physically to you?
I remember within a short amount of time, I asked her if I could sit down. I started getting a little bit overwhelmed because I realized that someone shot at me, was trying to kill me. If my head was that close, that's the only logical thing.
Before you saw that bullet
I
hole,
love these so much.
were you still sort of trying to explain how there's not a hole in your window?
Yes.
After you saw that bullet hole, did you start to think that someone had tried to kill you?
Yes. I remember I texted my father,
We love the Tic Tac shop. The Tic Tac shop is great.
told him that.
What did you text your father?
I said, I think someone just tried to kill me.
We love the Tic Tac shop. The Tic Tac shop is great.
Were you thinking about how close you had come to death?
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
As you were experiencing all these emotions and trying to figure out how to handle this and texting your dad, did the police ask if there was anyone that could come stay with you?
Yeah, they did. And because I didn't have any family, I just said, I have my two business partners who were really good friends, and I asked if they could come.
Did you have to tell them where to come?
Yeah, they didn't have my address.
Did they come and stay with you?
They did.
Did you eventually move with them across the street to kind of hang out in the shade?
It was hot, so yes, we moved over to a cooler spot as the day went on.
And we see in Exhibit 9, is this actually you guys sitting over here?
That is.
At some point, did a detective come get you and interview you?
Yeah, Detective Pillar came over and got me.
Did he interview you?
Yes, he did.
Where did that interview take place?
We walked around that corner. He had his car parked, and in a kind of a shady spot, and we did an interview in his car.
Was that recorded?
I believe so.
The first patrol officer on scene, that female officer, did she ask you if you could think of anyone who would want to harm you?
She might have. I don't recall. I'm not certain.
Okay. When you met with Detective Pillar, did he ask you if you knew anyone who would want to harm you?
Yes.
Do you remember a lot of your interaction with that first officer?
To be honest, like the part that I remember the most is just when I saw the bullet hole, and I think maybe just kind of got a little bit of shock because it was real when I called 911. But then I kept thinking to myself, a bullet didn't come through my window, and I just when I saw that, I just realized like, no, someone is 100% trying to kill me. And then
We love the TikTok shop. The TikTok shop is great.
And then it was kind of an emotional little bit. Like I felt a little overwhelmed.
This TikTok safe word thing is getting on my nerves.
Talked to Detective Pillar, was that a little bit later, but while you're still sitting here on the scene?
Yes.
Had you had time to kind of get yourself back under control?
Yes.
Do you remember that conversation more than
Yes.
your conversation with the first officer?
Yes, I do.
At that time, when you were asked by Detective Pillar if there was anyone you knew who might want to harm you, were you able to provide any names?
I told him the only person I could think of.
And who was that?
It was two people. It was Lori and Alex.
Me too.
Is that Lori Ballo?
Lori Vallow and Alex Cox.
So the morning of October 2nd of 2019, you have already told Detective Pillar that's who you believed is the only person you could think of who would want to harm you.
Yes.
Had you met Detective Pillar before that morning?
No, didn't know him.
Did you tell the police to tell Detective Pillar that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox had been involved in an incident in July of 2019 in Chandler, Arizona?
I did.
Did you think that that incident had something to do with this?
I did.
You were asked by the police, or do you recall being asked by the police if you had any issues with money or anyone else?
I do.
And did you have anyone else that you could think of that would want to shoot at you?
I did not.
Did you tell the police about your wife Melanie's relationship with Lori Vallow?
I did.
You told us
It still pisses me off that she's not charged.
that the Jeep that you saw parked right next to your driveway that we see here in Exhibit 9 had a Texas license plate, correct?
Correct.
Did you tell the police that Lori Vallow had lived in Texas?
I did.
So during the time you had known her, you were aware that she and Charles Vallow had lived in Texas?
Correct.
Did it seem relevant to you that you see a Jeep with a Texas plate in front of your house?
It did.
So on October 2nd, when you were shot at, Melanie was living here in Arizona, correct?
Correct.
And she lived close to your house in Phelps? Within a couple miles?
Within a couple miles, yes.
And she was the only person who, outside those two neighbors and two friends, who knew this address?
Correct.
On October 2nd of 2019, did you know where Lori Vallow was living?
No, I did not.
And on October 2nd of 2019, did you know where Alex Cox was living?
No, I did not.
But in July of 2019, you knew they were living in Chandler, Arizona. Or
Yes, I did.
Lori Vallow was living there. Did you ever learn that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox moved to Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes, I did.
Did Melanie ever move out of Arizona?
Can you restate that?
Sure. Did Melanie, your wife, or maybe by then your ex-wife, ever move out of Arizona?
Yes, she did.
Do you recall when she moved out of Arizona?
The end of October 31st or November 1st, 2019.
And did you learn where she moved?
Next door to Lori.
In Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes.
The state has no other questions, Your Honor.
All right, I need to take a couple-minute recess to sort out an issue. I'll have the jury retire to the jury room. Please remember the admonitions.
Let's see how long this goes for.
State can call us next witness.
Thank you. The state calls Elizabeth Collins.
All right,
I
you
don't
can have
know. I hope she is though.
a seat here to my left.
On a day that Brandon's not there, so he doesn't have to see her. Yeah,
Please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Elizabeth.
I heard that too. And I should have explained that. Thank you for saying that. Lori has reserved her right to cross him at a later time.
Collins.
And do you live here in Arizona?
I do live here in Arizona.
Back in 2019, did you own any rental properties?
I did.
And did you own a rental property at 3875 East Phelps Street in Gilbert, Arizona?
Yes.
Is that here in Maricopa County?
Yes, it is.
When did you purchase that house?
I purchased that house in October of 2018.
And how long had you been renting that house?
I've been renting it since I purchased it.
Was this a long-term rental or one of those short-term Airbnb type of things?
Long-term rental.
Did you have a minimum lease length?
Our minimum lease length for the initial lease is 1 year.
So you'd had at least one person in there since you'd purchased the home?
Correct.
Oops, sorry.
Prior to October 2nd of 2019, had you ever had any issues at that house?
Never.
Any prior disturbances in that neighborhood?
None, and none that I was aware of.
Okay. No shootings at the home?
No shootings at the home.
No police going out there to your knowledge?
None to my knowledge.
Was this pretty much a normal quiet rental property?
Yes.
Did you ever rent 3875 East Phelps Street house in Gilbert to Brandon Boudreau?
I did.
Did you go through a company to advertise the lease?
We did. We used a realtor that was a friend of ours to help us advertise the property for lease and to do the legal documentation.
Okay. I'm going to put up what, oops, I have Velma.
I forgot her name.
Has previously been admitted as Exhibit 9.
I didn't write it down.
Do you recognize this street?
Yes, I do.
I'm going to zoom in a little here. Do you recognize this house over here and this sign?
Yes. So the rental property is on the right-hand side of that photograph.
So basically the house right here.
Yes.
Then you indicated that you used a company to do your lease agreement.
Yes, I did.
I've shown the defendant Exhibit 119, if I may have my paralegal approach.
Hi, Donna.
Do you recognize Exhibit 119?
Yes, this is the lease agreement.
And then that's the one that you made with Brandon Boudreau?
Yes, it is.
The state will move to admit Exhibit 119.
Hi,
Any objection?
Parker.
No objection.
119's admissible.
Thank you. Thank you, Triple.
So in Exhibit 119, we see that you were the landlord,
Welcome back.
one of the two, I guess, landlords.
Yes,
And then you rented this to Brandon Boudreau.
correct.
Did he have other individuals listed on the lease agreement to also be present at the property?
Just the names of his children?
Okay. So his 4 children were listed on there.
Yes.
What was the date for the lease to begin?
Oh, I believe it was September 23rd, 2019. We signed it on the 13th, which is what threw me off, but
Perfect. So the lease agreement started September 23rd and was going to be until September 30th of the next year.
correct.
And then you indicated that this was signed on the 13th of September?
That's my recollection.
Let me go to the last page of Exhibit 119. So does that show the different signatures, at least yours at that time? I think.
Correct. Mine and my husband's.
Look at this shade.
And then we see Brandon's signature as well for the 13th?
Correct.
Not picking it up.
Now, when you leased this property to Brandon Boudreau, did you include, or was there ever any inclusion of a person by the name of Melanie Boudreau on that lease?
No, there was not.
Did you ever have the name of anyone by the name of Lori Vallow on that lease?
No.
How about Alexander Cox?
No.
As someone who leases properties, rental properties, do you put your lease agreements out in any type of public website or social media?
No, never.
So you wouldn't have put it out there that Brandon Boudreau was now living at 3875 East
Thank
Phelps
you,
Street?
Donna.
No, that would be unprofessional.
So prior to October 2nd of 2019, once you signed that contract, that was just your information and his information?
That was my understanding, yes.
And you never told anyone?
Did he keep custody of children? Yes. We even have a point to where there's body cam video of him having custody of the children and her going to try to get the children back from where he was living. And guess who was with her? Alex Cox. Thank you, Donna.
About who was moving into your house?
Besides my realtor, no.
Perfect. Thank you. I have no other questions for this witness.
Any direct?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? I don't see any. You can step down. Thank you.
Lindsay, how are you?
Go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. I love how there's some of you that don't come in at all for the Karen Reed, and I know the reason because you guys really just don't like the Karen Reed case. And that's how I was before I started watching it, though, and now I can't get enough. I'm like addicted to that case. I really am. Look at this lipstick. It's two-toned.
All right, so you're going to come on right up here. My clerk will swear you in.
Hello. Can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Robert Abitamarco, ROBERTABEATOMARCO.
You lost me after the T, sir.
Testimony about either truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Thank you, Parker.
You're going to walk around the clerk. I'm sorry, the
No,
court
she
reporter
did
here
not.
and have a seat to my left.
Wait, hold on. My brain is shutting down. I have a question. Was it this trial that they were submitting written questions? The one before this of Lori's? What trial was that? I want to say it was the same one, but at the same time, I'm wondering if it isn't. I think it was, though, because I think it was an Arizona thing.
You can roll up close to the microphone. Thank you. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Robert
Don't start with me today. Don't
That's a
even
Markville.
start.
Can you tell us, do you still live in Arizona?
Yes,
Back on October 2nd of 2019, where did you live?
3870 East Phelps, Gilbert.
Did you rent or own that house?
Rent,
How long had you lived there?
a little over 2 years.
Okay. Can you describe for us that neighborhood? What was it like?
It was a quiet residential neighborhood. It was a very quiet street. It was not a through street. A mixture of families living there.
Okay. Had you ever had any problems or issues on that street?
No,
And you said that it wasn't a through street. For that whole neighborhood, I guess let me ask this. Sometimes there are neighborhoods that have, they're kind of cut throughs to go to other main streets. What was your neighborhood like in that way? Was there a lot of traffic of people trying to cut through to get to other thoroughfares?
no. It was a series of residential side streets winding and inside the residential community.
I'm going to put up Exhibit 3 here. Pull it out a little.
Thank you, Donna.
Does this sort of
Appreciate
show
you.
that neighborhood with this being Phelps Street where you lived?
Yes,
So when you're talking about this neighborhood, there's no easy way to get from Pecos to Fry Road, right?
correct.
Since you lived in this neighborhood for a couple of years, did you
Parker, that was so awesome. Thank you so much.
see some of the same vehicles parked on your street all the time?
Mama bear.
Yes,
And so you sort of knew which ones would belong to your neighbors.
generally, yes.
Okay. I'm going to put Exhibit 1 up here. Not sure if you're able to make out sort of little house shapes. Are you able to see those house shapes up there?
Yes,
Okay, so we see this is 3875 East Phelps. Where was your house? Was it on the same side of the street, on the other side of the street?
3870 would have been on the same side.
So the same side of the street as this, and where was it in relation to that?
One to the left looking at it.
Okay, so this is Phelps. Are you on this side of the street or this side of the street? The upper or the lower?
I'm sorry, I'm on upper, third house in from right there, yes.
Okay, so here.
Yes,
All right. So kind of across and a little catty cornered from 3875?
yes.
Perfect. Michelle, get that a couple of exhibits, 5 and 7.
Was he just praying?
Back in October of 2019, were you working?
No,
Did you have sort of still a schedule of what you would do most mornings?
yes,
I want to bring your attention to October 2nd of 2019. Did you leave your house that morning around 8:40?
yes,
Do you recall where you were going?
yes.
What were you going?
I was going to the EOS gym on Higley and Pecos for a 9 o'clock appointment.
Okay.
Dude's nervous.
How far away, how long would it usually take you to get there?
5 to 10 minutes.
So you gave yourself a little room to get in there and get ready?
Yes.
Um, At that time in 2019 at this residence, did you usually park in your garage or your driveway?
The driveway.
Okay.
Yes, 100%. She's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and
I'm going to
Chad.
put up, if I can have my paralegal approach with exhibits 5 and 7.
Go ahead.
So if you can look at these two photos and let me know if you recognize these exhibits, what they're photographs of.
Yes,
Are those photos of sort of the street and neighborhood where you lived on Phelps back in 2019?
yes.
The state will move to admit exhibits 5 and 7.
No objection.
Admitted.
You told us that when you lived on this street that sometimes you'd see the same vehicles there. Was there any vehicle on sort of the opposite side of Phelps Street that you would regularly see and you would have to pay attention to when you were exiting your driveway?
Yes.
What was that?
There was a van owned by my neighbor who parked generally across from my driveway or a little off.
Okay. I'm going to put up exhibit 5. Do you see a van in this photograph?
Yes,
Is that the van you're talking about?
yes,
So this white van here.
yes.
Are you able to show us in this photograph or describe for us where your house or driveway was located?
The house is what's seen at the far left of the image, the beige colored house, and the driveway would be right where you're indicating.
Okay. So this was your driveway right here.
Yes,
And so you would often have to kind of pay attention to this white van so you didn't go out and bump right into it.
yes,
On the morning of October 2nd, did you get in your car to leave and notice any other vehicles that morning?
yes,
I'm going to put up exhibit 7. In this photograph, is your driveway here?
no,
It's one over.
yes,
Okay, so we can't see your driveway. This would be your neighbor's house.
Yes.
Where did you see another vehicle that stood out to you the morning of October 2nd around 8:40 in the morning?
Parked in front of the white van, nose to nose, where that tree is.
So right in this shade area? All
Yes.
right, so when you say nose to nose, the front of the Jeep was to the front of this van?
Yes.
And so the rear of the Jeep would have been along where this driveway was?
Yes.
Did anything about that vehicle catch your attention?
Yes.
What?
I noticed that it was running. It had tinted windows. I didn't see anyone, and it was right across from the back of my driveway.
So the tinted windows, were you able to see if anyone was inside the vehicle?
I was not.
What kind of vehicle was it that you saw there?
It was a Jeep.
Were you able to tell anything about 2 or 4 door?
No.
Do you recall anything about the color?
It was dark.
And you said the Jeep was running.
Yes.
When we talk about the Jeep being nose to nose, is that sort of the wrong way on the street, parked the incorrect way on the street?
Yes.
Did that also stand out to you?
Yes.
Had you ever seen that Jeep before in your neighborhood?
I don't recall seeing it.
So it wasn't something you had seen before?
No.
When you were backing out and leaving, did you feel like you needed to take note of anything else of that Jeep?
Yes.
Why?
It seemed out of place, and again, being concerned that it was running, not immediately seeing anybody with that vehicle or in that vehicle, and I was under the impression that nobody was home at the house that it was parked at.
Okay. So here's a car that's running in front of a house that might be empty with dark tinted windows. It seemed a little concerning to you.
Yes.
So because of that, did you do anything as you were leaving?
Yes.
What'd you do?
When I left, I backed out of my driveway so that I was going to be heading in the opposite direction of those vehicles, and I looked in my rearview mirror to look at the license plate.
I wonder if Lori's making a list of her sins. She might need more paper.
So in Exhibit 7 here, were you heading this direction?
Yes.
So in your rearview mirror, you would have been able to see the back of the Jeep. When you were looking in your rearview mirror, you were able to see the back of the Jeep.
Yes.
What did you look for when you looked in your rearview mirror?
The license plate.
What did you note about the license plate?
That it was a Texas license plate.
So that's sort of the white with black lettering?
Yes.
Should we do a
Were you
face
able to
mask?
take down a license plate number?
No.
Do you recall the vehicle itself, if there was a tire on the back of it?
I don't recall.
When you returned home after going to the gym, can you describe for us what you saw?
Yes.
I didn't even think about that. That is her dark people list. Good point.
There were a lot of
That's
police
scary.
vehicles and police personnel on the property, on the street. Access to my street, the way I came back, was restricted. And I had to speak to one of the officers, identify who I was, and indicate where I was going.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do
Did
a face
you
mask.
have a police officer come talk to you at some point in the day?
Yes.
And did they ask you about whether or not you had seen anything unusual that morning?
Yes.
And did you tell them about this Jeep?
Yes.
And why did that stick into your mind to tell them?
She's been convicted 2 different times. This is her 3rd trial. I got one more April skin mask, guys. I thought I was out of these.
Well, it was no longer there, and I felt it was, again, out of place or an unusual at that time.
I have no other questions for this witness. Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Just say you have no questions, Lori. No, that's too low.
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? Don't see any questions. You can step down, sir.
I'm gonna go get my next.
Sorry. I'm so happy that I had one more April skin mask. April Skin's owned by Medicube. sister company. For the guys that are in here, if this is annoying, sorry.
All right.
Thank you, Cass.
Come on up right up here in front of my clerk, sir. She's going to swear you in.
Can you please state and spell your first and last name?
Sure, my first name is Nolan. It's N-O-L-A-N. My last name is M-C-D-E-R-M-O-T.
Okay, raise your right hand, please. You just always swear to testimony you're about to give. This is all truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Have a seat up here to my left.
But I rock a good face mask.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Sure, my name is Nolan McDermott. I'm a sergeant with the Gilbert Police Department.
How long have you run with the Gilbert Police Department?
18 years.
Where do you currently work?
I'm currently assigned to internal affairs.
Can you tell us about the different areas you have worked at the Gilbert Police Department over your years of service?
Yes, I've spent a majority of my time on patrol, both as an officer, field training officer, and a patrol sergeant. I've also spent time in our criminal investigations division, where I was a detective over special victims units and our violent crimes unit.
Now, over the years at the Gilbert Police Department, have police officers, both patrol and detectives, been responsible at times for processing the scenes?
Yes.
Did you have any training over the years on processing scenes?
Yes, both in the police academy and then through training through field training program, and then as well as just training with colleagues throughout various cases.
Back in October of 2019, what unit were you working in?
I was assigned to the violent crimes unit.
And were you a detective in that unit?
Yes.
That's why I have a face mask on so that I don't.
How
They're
long
nice
had
and
you been
cool.
there at that time?
I was with that unit probably only about a year, but I'd been a detective for about 3 years at that point.
Were you on duty on October 2nd of 2019 at around 9:15 in the morning?
Yes.
And were you called out to 3875 East Phelps in Gilbert, Arizona, Maricopa County?
Yes.
What were you called out there for?
I was called out with
100%, in my opinion, and everybody else will tell you the same thing. 100%.
other detectives initially referenced a shooting.
And is that common practice for shootings?
Yes.
Do you recall when you arrived at 3875 East Phelps Street, sort of what the scene looked like?
Yes, there was crime scene tape.
Yesterday, we were watching day one, and the tower, because we have one tower in the middle of my cornfields over here, it went down right when they mentioned Fairview. And it was creepy as hell. And I remember saying that to people because both trials have a Fairview. So that was where the live cut off. So we're picking up where we left off yesterday. So we'll get today and yesterday. You're good, you're good. Yes, this is Lori Daybell, and this is her third trial.
Erected. There was several patrol officers out. Looks like they had taped off a crime scene around a particular residence and the street in front of the residence, as well as kind of bordering some homes next to the target residence.
Getting in some overtime
What
today.
is the point of crime scene tape?
The
Yes.
point of crime scene tape is to erect a physical barrier, both for the public to be alert that the police are on scene and conducting an investigation,
Well, not
try
right.
to limit the
Not right now. The case is for the nephew-in-law. He's not the nephew-in-law, but yeah, former nephew-in-law.
amount of traffic, meaning both vehicle or people entering that crime scene, to keep it as sterile as possible.
When detectives are sent out to a shooting, are they each given different roles?
Yes, they can be. Each scene might be a little different, but generally we'll divide tasks up to process or investigate.
Were you assigned?
Sometimes when they look at Lori's head, you could almost see a bunch of birds going around in a circle, chirping, a big field of grass and the bright sun, and she's dancing in a circle with Chad. I could see it all.
A role to process the crime scene.
Yes, I
Right.
participated in that.
Were other detectives then assisting you in processing the crime scene?
Yes.
Who were the other detectives who were out at the scene?
Detective
see
Pillar was there and Detective Ferrer was there.
When you got to the scene, were photographs taken of the street, the vehicle,
yes.
and any items of evidence?
Yes.
I mean, she married 2 of her husbands in Hawaii.
Why
She,
are
like,
photographs
must
taken
love
of
hulas.
sort of the scene, the street, and the area around there?
To memorialize both the scene and any evidence or any items of evidentiary value, either collected or observed at that scene.
Okay. When you go to a scene,
you,
do you
Cass.
always know what might be relevant?
No.
So, do you take photographs to try to document something in case something becomes relevant later?
Yes.
In this scene, where was the
Hi, Tina.
vehicle located when you arrived? The vehicle involved
Thank
in the
you,
shooting?
thank you.
Yes, when I arrived, the vehicle was in the driveway of the target residence.
And when you say target residence, what do you mean by that?
The residence in which Mr. Boudreau was residing at the time.
That's the 3875 East Phelps?
That's correct.
As you are photographing this scene, were orange cones, for lack of a better word, used to document the approximate location of where Brandon Boudreau's vehicle was located when it was struck with a bullet?
Yes. Trying to provide a visual of what we thought would be the approximate location.
And so that has to be based upon just to the best of his memory.
Yes.
Was the area also looked, or did you look in that area where Brandon had indicated his car was when it was struck to see if maybe any glass or anything had fallen in the road?
Yes.
Did you locate any?
There was a small, looked like glass particle or shard that was in the roadway.
Was it similar to, well, let me ask you, when you went to the scene and saw the Tesla in the driveway, did you see the driver's side window anywhere?
Yes, the driver's side window was actually in the driveway, just adjacent to the driver's side of the Tesla. The vehicle was parked in facing towards the garage, and the window was adjacent to the driver's side door, with the void in the driver's side door where that window would be.
Inside the Tesla itself, did you observe pieces of the glass that had shattered?
Yes, there was glass shards both inside the vehicle and then outside the vehicle, adjacent to the splintered window.
And did those shards that you saw in the road where you put those cones look similar to the shards you saw inside the Tesla and around the door there?
Yes.
When you were looking at the window that was now on the driveway, did you look at it to try to see if there was any impact to it, what caused it or where it shattered from?
Yes, we did. There was a divot or a mark towards the top of the window would be, as if it were raised to the top of the vehicle frame or that door. There was kind of a divot, the best way I can describe it, that appeared out of place compared to the rest of the window.
Okay. For the Tesla itself, some cars have doors where there's a metal frame around the glass window. Was there a metal frame around the glass window for this Tesla door?
No, not for where the window would be for the door. The window was kind of by itself where it would extend or rise up into the frame of the vehicle.
I have
Fun fact, this mask has 99 capsules in it. Bunch of little beads.
minus a few exhibits 6, 8, 10 through 47. If I can have my paralegal approach with those. Have the witness take a look at these photographs.
This is Medicube's sister company. This is April Skin. It's owned by Medicube. I didn't know I had one of these left. I thought they were all gone, and I just found one. This is the only Medicube mask with beads in it. They came out with a new face wash and a new overnight mask too, and it's pink glitter. In case you wanted to know. I want to order them so bad. But after buying those expensive skin products and not liking them, I can't. I just can't do it. Me and you both. Me and you both. Girl.
So Detective, you've looked through exhibits 6, 8, and 10 through 47. Do you recognize those as photos from the scene on October 2nd of 2019 of the Tesla and the Phelps Street and the area around there?
Yes.
They've got a whole
State
roll
will
of
move to
scar
admit
tape.
exhibits 6, 8, and 10 through 47. No objection. When you were taking photographs of a scene, putting up exhibit 6 here, do you try to take photographs showing the whole street itself? Meaning not just the one location where the car was or the Tesla itself.
And thank you for reminding me because I wanted to put them on my scars from Binksy because he literally has my leg looking like a Freddy Krueger victim.
You're trying to get the whole area.
Well, yes, that's true. To be clear, I didn't actually take this particular photograph, but when documenting, we were trying to capture the area, give an overview of the scene.
Okay. So in this scene, can you describe for us sort of the directionality we're looking and what we see here?
Yes, the marked patrol unit that's sort of in the center at the very far end of this particular image, that's east,
I have two
east of the target residence. The Tesla is on the right side of the picture in the driveway, and it is parked facing south. And those cones kind of in the center, also east of the Tesla and the residence.
Were those cones the ones we were talking about in reference to the approximate location of Brandon's vehicle when he was shot at?
That's correct.
Before I got bananaed in the shop on this account, they sent me 2 rolls of these. But I'm bananaed on this account. That's why I now have everything on my backup.
Exhibit 8 here, is that sort of a closer version of that?
Yes.
Exhibit 10, in your understanding, where was the Jeep located?
So the Jeep would be somewhat out of frame from here, but it was our understanding that it would be located kind of on the bottom left of this image.
Okay, so this is the driveway for Brandon Boudreaux's 3875 East Phelps?
Correct.
And so the Jeep was somewhere down here?
Yes.
When you were documenting this, did you understand then, was this meant to be sort of the front of the vehicle and the rear of the vehicle, approximately? And I'm going to put up 12 so you can see a better width of that.
I don't recall if those were marked to present in terms of the vehicle itself and the distance to the front and the back. I don't recall that specifically. The purpose of this was to give us kind of an idea, or at least to memorialize the scene for where we, our best understanding of where that Mr. Boudreaux's vehicle was at when the shooting occurred.
In 14 here, so again, this is at least supposed to be approximately where the
this?
Tesla was located?
Correct. And this particular image is from the other direction. So, for example, that patrol vehicle that's pictured in the center of that image, that's to the west of the target residence.
And so in this photograph, exhibit 14, where did you understand the Jeep to be located?
Our understanding was the Jeep would have been in the vicinity of the shaded area, where on the south side of that street, parked, I guess, behind or in front of that white van.
Have you seen this one, though? This is the Medicube one that was released a couple months ago.
Put up exhibits 18.
It's the brightening one. And
When you were
vitamin C.
photographing, or when this was photographing, did you all attempt to sort of document some of those little shards of glass?
Yes, that's correct.
And is that what we see here in exhibit 18 right there?
Yes.
I like it a lot. But I want
As
to
well
get
in
the pink
exhibit
glitter one.
19 here?
Correct.
Okay. And you said those were similar to the same type of glass you had seen in the vehicle and around the vehicle once it was parked in the driveway?
That's correct.
No, that was this.
Was it your understanding, let me see, when you are trying to process a scene, do you get briefed on some of the general facts of the case?
Yes.
What does that mean to get briefed?
More often than not, detectives aren't the first on scene. Generally, a patrol officer would respond to take the initial information, and then upon the arrival of detectives, we would generally get a briefing from those patrol officers on scene with the best knowledge of the information they had at the time.
So did you understand or know the path of travel of Brandon after the shot was fired?
Yes.
Welcome back, Susan.
What was your understanding of the path of travel after the shot was fired?
My understanding was Mr. Boudreaux proceeded, continued west on Phelps Street to his first available street to turn on, which was Cole, I believe, and he made a right to go northbound from there.
This is Exhibit 1, sort of a map of that area. So west would be this direction,
Correct.
and then north on Cole.
Correct.
Did you understand that he eventually then came back, sort of making a big loop to return to his residence?
That's correct.
Now, we had talked about the vehicle itself. As a detective and as a patrol officer, had you ever seen gunshots or bullet holes in a vehicle before?
Yes.
And I'm going to go through the photos of the vehicle itself. I'm going to show you Exhibit 21. Can you tell us what we see here?
Yes, this is Mr. Boudreau's vehicle. It's parked in the driveway facing south. The driver's side of the vehicle is facing away from us in this particular image.
Did you note any damage on the passenger side of Mr. Boudreau's vehicle?
I did not.
Welcome back.
We see in 22 the rear of his vehicle.
Correct.
Did you note any damage there?
I did not.
Were you looking for damage to see if there were any other gunshot holes in this car?
Yes.
Now, as you got to the driver's side, I'm going to put up at 23 and then 24, did you notice anything on this vehicle?
Yes, there was damage on the vehicle frame, kind of directly above the driver's side door and where the window would have been.
So I'm going to kind of do some closers up. 26.
Yes, the
bullet hole is right here. Right here. If it was down a little bit more, thank God it wasn't. Let me show you guys. Right here. He wasn't a good shot. He missed his, because Tammy Daybell, Adam also tried to unalive her. What are you doing on my desk, ma'am? I need this. I'm working here. I'm working. Mila. He tried to do this to Tammy Daybell before the other thing. Mila, come on. Go over here. Don't show your butt to everybody. Sorry. Come here, baby. Say hi, aunties. Oh, no, where are you going? That's Abby. That one's Abby. This one's Mila. You want to go up there? Okay. Good girl.
damage, again, being on that kind of the
She's
top
our
end
true
of the vehicle
crime
frame
kitty.
above where the driver's side door and window would be.
And 27, is that what we're talking about?
Yes, this is just a closer image of that same damage.
The victim had made a statement to 911 that maybe this was a paint gun that hit him. Did you see any paint or anything that would indicate this was a paint gun?
I did not.
Is this the
This
type
one's
of
Renee's
damage you would expect to see
favorite.
from a paint gun?
No.
28, and then I'm going to go into 29. What are we seeing here? We see an A marked on that. What's that for?
That particular marker is just another indication to memorialize the scene. So the prior image was an image without it, and then this image is to mark it, just as another point of reference the damage we were identifying.
As we're looking at this, you were
She's like,
advised,
just hang out.
what were you advised when you were briefed that as Brandon was driving westbound on Phelps, that the rear of the Jeep
I
was
agree, Ashley.
facing towards him,
I
was facing
agree.
eastbound?
Yes.
And were you advised that he said a rifle came out of the back of the Jeep and then fired a single shot at him?
Yes.
Looking at just the shape of this hole, you said you have seen bullet strikes or bullet
Baby
holes in
girl.
vehicles. Did that appear to be coming from front to back?
You're so pretty.
Yes.
So was it consistent, the damage to the vehicle, to show that the bullet had come from in front of the Jeep or in front of the Tesla into the Tesla itself? Does that make sense? Probably
I
not.
agree.
The damage I observed and the damage that's
Lock her
documented in this
up.
photo is consistent with Mr. Boudreau's statement of him proceeding westbound with a rifle being pointed towards him, pointed east, and this penetration from that projectile is consistent with his story.
Okay. Now, when we talk about trajectory,
That's
what does that mean?
scary.
Generally, it's just the direction in which something might travel.
Mila's like, I'm 100% here for Lori Daybell. Let's get this done. She does not like Lori Daybell.
In this case, were you able to determine the exact direction of the rifle barrel out of the rear of that Jeep?
I was not able to determine exactly the direction of that rifle barrel out of the Jeep.
Mila,
And were you able to determine the exact location of the Tesla in the street?
you
I was
don't
not.
like her, do
There's no
you?
video cameras to show that.
Correct.
She's like, no, I don't like her. I'm
So
leaving.
at best, can you say that
Thank you, Cass.
the directionality of that hole, that bullet strike into the Tesla, is consistent with it coming from the back of the Jeep.
Yes, based on the information provided to us,
She's
it's
just
consistent.
on the couch behind me
Now, as you were looking at this, and we see in 25 that there's no frame on the top part of this door. So the bullet strike, was that actually into the body of the Tesla itself?
Yes, that's a fair description.
So in order to look for the projectile, what did you guys do?
This particular photograph, right below that penetration point, is some rubber molding that was also damaged. That was consistent with that glass window maybe rising up and extending into the molding is probably part of the feature of the vehicle. So we moved some of that molding around to see if we could try to locate any projectiles.
I'm going to show you some photos from that. This is Exhibit 40. What are we seeing here?
glass.
This is some of that rubber molding I mentioned earlier. There was kind of a groove in there, for lack of a better word, in that molding where it captured some glass shards, and we did find some fragments, metal fragments in the that groove within the molding as well.
So what we sort of see in here.
Correct.
Is Exhibit 44 sort of show what you're talking about, where you're trying to pull out all of this molding to look for any fragments of that projectile?
Correct.
And does 45 also kind of show that search where you're pulling that apart?
Yes.
Ultimately, were any fragments recovered?
There were some fragments recovered. This particular image just documents those fragments recovered from within that molding. That was documented earlier as well.
It looks like a tooth. A very pointy tooth, but a tooth. Two teeth, actually.
And were those collected and counted?
Yes.
So they're shown to Exhibit 190. You can take a look at Exhibit 190 and let me know if you recognize.
Yes, I recognize it.
And on the back side, inside the clear bag, is there sort of the paper bag that documents that those fragments in there are from this case that we're discussing today?
Yes, the label on this particular bag is the report number reference this incident.
Thank you. The state will move to admit Exhibit 190.
Any objection?
No objection. Your
190 submitted.
Thank you. Now, as you are trying to recover any fragments, you told us that the window sort of went up into this molding or into the car frame almost.
Hi,
Correct.
Halsey. Welcome back.
Given that you only found fragments, was anything done to try to see if any of those fragments or the projectile itself had fallen out at any point?
Yeah.
How many people think His Honor is playing a video game on his computer? Honestly.
We, after kind of learning or being
You're
briefed
fine.
on the path of travel that Mr. Boudreau took in his vehicle following the shooting, we walked that area as well as the area immediately around the vehicle when it was parked in the driveway to try to locate anything additional in terms of projectile fragments.
Not me sitting here wondering if he plays Fortnite too.
When we're talking about projectile fragments, these could be teeny tiny little pieces that you're trying to find on the street.
In this particular instance, that's correct.
And now we're talking around a whole block
Maybe.
and up to where the pool is.
Correct.
Did you and other officers search that whole area?
Yes, we did.
Were you successful in locating any other fragments?
We were not.
Was a metal
He's gonna jump up out of his chair. Yes, victory crown!
detector even brought to try to search across the road and see if you could potentially find any of those fragments?
I miss
Yes, we.
Yoda.
I'm sorry. Yes, we did bring one out to try to locate anything additionally.
Was anything else found?
No.
Now
You
we
ever
talked
play
about
Daybell?
inside the vehicle, and I'm going to show some photos here. 32. What were you documenting here in 33?
This particular image documents what I mentioned earlier in terms of my observations. This documents some additional glass shards that were located on the floorboard inside the vehicle. That's the driver's seat.
Okay. 34, 35. So the window itself, I know you told us was mostly together, but small pieces of it broke apart.
That's correct.
And that's the same type of small pieces you saw out in the road by the cones.
It appeared consistent. Correct.
Did you see
Honestly, about a week and a half.
any other of those little shards anywhere else on the road other than where Brandon had indicated he was when his vehicle was shot?
Not that I recall.
In Exhibit 36 and 37, what are we seeing here?
This is just a particular rod that was inserted to try to give an idea in terms of a general idea of trajectory. Again, kind of confirm what information we had from Mr. Boudreau reference where the gunshot had come from in terms of then striking his vehicle. This is really just another visualization of that to memorialize it.
Okay.
Teslas aren't bulletproof? I thought they were.
So again, without knowing, let me ask you this. In the back of a Jeep, if someone sticks a rifle barrel out, can they move the barrel at almost basically 180 degrees of angle? Is that yes?
I'm sorry, what were you asking?
If somebody sticks a
Maybe
rifle
that's
out
their SUV.
the rear window of a Jeep, they could move that rifle barrel in basically 180 different degrees, correct?
Yes,
And you, because there's no video showing that, you have no way to know the exact angle that that rifle barrel was sticking out.
that's correct.
So this was just to help show the directionality, at least, of how that bullet entered into the Tesla.
That's correct.
And we see the same thing in 38, and then a closer up in 39.
That's correct.
He looks like a famous
Now we
person, but I
talked
can't
about
figure out
the
who.
glass piece itself. I have exhibit 46 up here. And again, we see another
That's what I thought too.
sticker or marker with an A on it. What were we looking at there?
This is a image of the driver door window that was in
You guys, something just touched my leg and there's no cat there. I do not want to repeat of last
in the driveway
night.
at the time of our arrival. As I had mentioned earlier, we had noted a divot in the window itself.
She was?
This particular image is depicting that divot as we've identified
Hold the hell on. Wait, she was? I hope she's there every day.
it with this marker that appeared consistent with the damage that we observed on the vehicle. Essentially our best estimate of where that strike point of the vehicle would have been to cause the window to shatter.
So when we look at the other edges of the vehicle, you didn't see any similar type of damage where the window has that divot and the more, is it being more broken apart?
No, not Nancy Grace. The woman that testified from the first trial that said, don't flatter yourself, that's Nancy Jo Hancock. Lori questioned her. She was dating Lori's husband, Charles. And she's like, oh, so on your date, all you did was talk about me? She says, don't flatter yourself. It was epic. It was the moment of the year.
Yes, that particular
Didn't I say Charles?
divot,
Or did
again,
I say
appeared
something
consistent with
else?
what we were observing on the vehicle. So I didn't note anything different on the window that maybe could have accounted for the damage with the window being rolled up in the vehicle.
She's epic. Monumental. If we ever had a chance to interview her, I would probably jump for joy.
After processing the vehicle,
Okay, thank you.
did other officers look for any type of, or did you ever come back and help look for any type of surveillance cameras that might have caught anything?
Yes, we returned and conducted a kind of canvass of the neighborhood. Myself and additional detectives did.
She was epic.
Did you personally find any videos that on Phelps Street or any of the surrounding streets that caught anything?
I did not.
During this investigation, did you learn who
thank
Lori
you.
Vallow was?
Yes,
Did you learn that she had a 2018 Jeep Wrangler with a Texas plate of LWD 0997?
I did.
Did you
I'm hungry.
learn that she was, in October of 2019, living in Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes, I did.
Did you learn that her brother, Alex Cox, was also living in Rexburg, Idaho in October of 2019?
I did.
Through different records, did you learn that Alex Cox was residing at 565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes.
And did you also learn that Lori Vallow was living in that same complex?
Yes.
Did you reach out to local law enforcement in Idaho to help locate and impound that 2018 Jeep Wrangler?
Yes, I did.
When you were investigating this case, had you been advised by Detective Pillar and others that the Jeep, or that Brandon had noted the Jeep had a Texas plate on it?
Yes.
And had you, as part of the investigation, learned that Lori Vallow had resided in Texas previously?
Yes.
Were you advised that Brandon Boudreau had told Detective Pillar on October 2nd that he was aware of an incident?
No, and I believe Sandra sent me an article that they found that he was searching for ways to get into Canada. So Canadians in here, that man that unalived his 3 baby girls, he's rumored to be heading your way.
In Chandler, Arizona on July 11th of 2019.
Yes.
And in contacting the Chandler Police Department, did you learn that that 2018 Jeep Wrangler with the Texas license plates had been at the residence with Lori Vallow on July 11th of 2019?
Yes.
Me too.
Did you then write up a probable cause statement and send that to the Rexburg Police Department to help write a search warrant so they could seize and impound that Jeep?
Yes.
He gives me flashbacks to Chad Dorman. Those boys, oh my God.
And that Jeep being the 2018 Jeep Wrangler that Lori Vallow had with a Texas plate of LWD 0997?
That's correct.
Were you notified on November 4th of 2019 that at that time Detective MCO with the Rexburg Police Department had located and impounded the Jeep from 565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg, Idaho?
Yes.
And did you provide that to Detective Pilar?
Yes.
Was he the case?
No, they have evidence leading them to him going to Canada. I guess he somehow had searched about how to get into Canada. I don't know the specifics right now, but that is something that was a headline this afternoon. Yeah.
Agent at the time.
Yes.
And did you leave that to him to deal with processing the Jeep?
Yes.
Without going in.
By the way, he's added to the list of the people that I will give up my eternal resting place in heaven just to be able to escort them to the pits of hell and guide them into their special section, and then stand guard outside a house so they can't get back out. He's made that list now too.
Into what was said
Just
on
like
December
good old
21st
Chad.
of 2019, did you speak with someone by the name of Colby Ryan?
I'm sorry, what date was that again?
December 21st of 2019?
Yes, I did.
Is Colby
That's
Ryan Lori Vallow's son?
Yes.
Did you learn that Colby had been given Lori Vallow's blue Nissan Rogue with Arizona license plate CRT 2994?
Yes.
Were you provided information as to where Colby Ryan had picked up Lori Vallow's Nissan Rogue?
Yes.
On December 26th of 2019, did you go to that residence?
Yes.
Was that here in Maricopa County?
It was.
Was that in Mesa?
It was.
Who lived at that residence?
I spoke with a Heather Blackmere.
Is it Hannah?
I'm sorry, Hannah, yes.
Did you learn that Melanie Boudreau was now remarried to Miss Blackmer's brother, Ian?
Yes.
And did you know that Melanie Boudreau was Lori Vallow's niece?
Yes.
Was a search warrant obtained for that Nissan Rogue?
Yes.
And was that executed on December 21st of 2019?
Yes, it was.
Don't forget, Melanie tried to go get her kids from Brandon, and guess who drove her? Alex Cox. Don't forget that. This could have been really bad. Even worse.
Were photographs taken of that?
Yes.
She just making us wait. Is she being dramatic? 100% he is. 100%.
Show
If you think about what Alex did to his own niece and nephew, think about what he could have done to Brandon's kids. It's scary.
defendant exhibits 93 through 98. Approach for the witness to review.
I can't wait. Cannot wait. Wait, you cheated? Cheating. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you recognize those photographs, exhibits 93 through 98?
Yes.
Are they photographs of that Nissan Rogue that you executed the search warrant on that was Lori Vallow's?
Yes.
This is the Nissan Rogue that you had learned about through Lori Vallow's son, Colby Ryan,
That's correct.
and that you had spoken to Melanie Boudreau's family about that it had been dropped off at.
I'd spoken to Ms. Blackmore, referenced that vehicle.
State will move to admit exhibits 93 through 98.
Any objection?
Just relevant, Your Honor.
Your Honor, it's relevant both because this vehicle is going to be seen in video in Idaho relating to the self-storage unit where items are stored.
I forget that when I got these masks on, you guys can't see my facial expressions. I'm sitting here making them and everything.
It's admitted. Those exhibits are admitted.
Thank you. So exhibit 93, what are we seeing here?
This image is of that said Nissan Rogue, and this image is taken at the Gilbert Police Department property building.
And we're
Just
photographs of the
irrelevancy,
sort of
yeah.
whole vehicle taken that we see in 94.
That's correct. This is just a different angle, as well as this is a different angle of that same vehicle.
So we see a license plate on this vehicle of CRT 2994
Correct.
and was Inside the vehicle during the search warrant, did you obtain the registration or take photographs of it?
Yes, that's correct.
And was it registered to a Lori Vallow and Alexander Cox?
Correct.
State.
And we see it was from September of 2019.
Lori.
Yes.
Inside the vehicle, did you look through it to see if there were any receipts or anything of potential interest?
Yes, we did.
Thank you for reminding me.
Inside the
to write that
vehicle,
down.
did you recover a boarding pass or luggage receipt for a Melanie Boudreau?
That's correct.
And that would have been from October 26th of 2019.
Well, some would argue that she did with Chad, but I think that's debatable.
Correct.
So inside the vehicle that belonged to Lori Vallow was a receipt for a flight for a Melanie Boudreau.
Correct.
And then did you also recover some receipts reflecting, Rexburg, Idaho, or Idaho Falls here from October 13th of 2019?
Are you kidding me? It made our flash goal 26 hand hearts. Are they insane?
Correct.
Thank you, Glenn.
And then October 31st of 2019.
Correct.
That's an insane
And again, Idaho Falls
goal.
there.
Yes, that's correct.
So inside the vehicle that you recovered in December in Arizona were receipts relating to Idaho Falls, Idaho from October of 2019.
Correct.
Thank you, Donna.
Were you also involved in executing a search warrant on Alex Cox's residence in December of 2019?
Catnip.
Yes.
Did you locate Alex Cox's Ford F-150 at that time?
That particular vehicle was present during that search warrant. Yes.
It was present at the residence.
Yes.
And did that have an Arizona license plate of
Thank you, Susan.
CPQUINT?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you,
And was
Mama
that
Bear.
vehicle located in Gilbert, Arizona?
Yes,
Thank
Was that
you. I
vehicle
don't
later
even
towed
know.
to the Gilbert Police Department?
it was.
And did a different detective later search that vehicle?
Yes.
When that vehicle
Catnip, I had one extra April skin mask. I just found it before you came in. Yeah, the team is definitely teaming.
was
Thank you, Parker.
towed to the Gilbert Police Department, did you then obtain another search warrant to execute on Alex Cox's Ford F-150
Thank you,
on December
Mama
31st
Bear.
to allow a detective to remove an infotainment center?
Oh, geez.
Yes, that's correct.
And was that Detective Tom Olzak?
Yes.
And what was the reasoning for that?
The purpose of that search warrant and
Thank
the assistance
you,
from
Cass.
Detective Olzak was to learn any information reference that electronic or infotainment device that maybe it's stored on that device, reference the location of that vehicle.
And did Detective Olzak take that infotainment system with him to
Really?
analyze himself?
Yes.
I'll have to check that
I
out.
have no other questions for this witness.
By the way, Catnip, Medicube has not only the new marshmallow pink face wash, but they have a new night mask that's pink glitter. I know. Can you believe it? It does? Are you kidding me? You guys sent all those and it didn't count? No, it did. Wait. I'm so confused. I'm so sorry, guys. If it didn't
Sorry,
count them, I'm so
McDermott?
sorry.
That's correct.
Yes.
And you said that you've been processing scenes, Sergeant McDermott, for
I'm sorry,
How long?
guys.
I've been a police officer for 18 years. I can't tell you exactly how long I've been processing scenes, but I've been in a patrol capacity and a detective capacity for approximately 16 of those 18 years. So I would have been processing numerous scenes for that time.
I helped.
okay. And were you a scene agent for this?
I would say I was one of several detectives there to be classified as scene agents.
Okay.
I feel really bad. I didn't know that, you guys. I'm sorry.
So, and you had mentioned before that it was you and Detective Pillar and one other person.
I mentioned Detective Ferrer.
Oh, that's right, Ferrer. Okay. And when you were getting briefed by them, what time did you arrive at the scene?
I don't recall. It was sometime in the morning after the call had come out.
And who was there already?
It only counts one hand heart at a time. So I said I was sorry because I felt bad because I didn't know that. I didn't know it was only one hand heart per person.
When you arrived?
There were at least 2 patrol officers there upon my arrival.
So Officer Robb was there?
Yes.
And did she brief you at all?
I don't recall exactly who briefed me, but it would make the most sense that she would have.
Because she was first on the scene?
I don't know if she was first on the scene, but I know she was present at the time that I arrived.
Okay. And so who did you receive your information from after you got there?
Again, I don't recall specifically, but it would make most sense that Officer Robb would have provided it.
And do
You
you
got
recall her
jokes
indicating
tonight.
that she didn't even think it was a gunshot?
I don't recall that specifically, no.
that she stuck her pin in the hole and said she didn't think it was a gunshot? You don't recall that?
I don't know that, no.
There was a picture that we looked at that had the one piece of glass in the street. Do you recall that?
Yes,
And then could that piece of glass have been moved by someone's shoe accidentally from people walking around in that scene?
it's possible.
Because there weren't any more pieces besides one piece of glass in the street. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then was that glass in any way, that one piece of glass, was it tested to see if that was actually part of the window from the Tesla?
No.
Could you tell if it was part of the window from the Tesla?
All I can say is it appeared consistent with the other evidence we had to reference that window on scene, but I can't tell you definitively if that one shard was from that window.
Like if it was the same color as most of the other shards?
It did appear to be the same color and was consistent with the rest of the shards that we observed on scene.
But it could have been from a Coke bottle kicked in the street or anything else like that?
This is only day one. We started day one last night, but the tower went down, so I didn't have any internet, any phone, nothing until this morning. But if you missed the last trial, I did put that one up on my YouTube every day for the last trial. Not the first one, though, because there were no cameras in the first one.
I can't say that's not possible, yes.
And so did you use the location of that one piece of glass to try to determine where the Tesla was located at the time of the shooting?
That was one factor, yes.
But if it had just been kicked over there or moved accidentally on the bottom of someone's shoe, then it wouldn't indicate anything. Is that correct?
I mean, I'd have to concur that it's possible.
So
the last trial was epic. If you have not watched the trial before this of Lori's, you have to watch it. I can't make this shit up.
well, all the pieces of glass that fell out, would that be consistent in your understanding? Wouldn't there be more than just one tiny little piece if there was a bullet explosion?
I can't answer that definitively to tell you one way or the other. I don't know how the physics of that would happen, so I don't know if I could honestly answer that for you.
But logically, there'd probably be at least a couple pieces, right?
Object. Speculation's already indicated he doesn't know.
Sustained.
So when you arrived, where was Mr. Boudreau?
State
I
has
believe
one
he was standing
objection.
maybe outside the front door of the residence. That's my best recollection.
Okay.
No.
And who else?
No. Wait, how do we count that? If it's Lori that does the objections and she's overruled, how do we count that? Let's just do it. We'll just do it that way. We'll just do one per. So we're 2-0, right? 2-0.
Was there on scene?
I recall Officer Robb was on scene. I believe Officer Bullock was on scene.
Okay.
I believe that was it.
Did you see the friends of Brandon that we saw in the picture of Mr. Boudreau?
Yes,
You
now that, I'm sorry, go ahead. Now that you mentioned it, yes, I do recall Brandon having some friends there.
And how many friends?
The first trial, he honestly looked like he got baked before going into court every day.
Do you recall Brandon having there?
I believe there were two.
And where were they where were they when you observed them?
I don't recall that.
Not that I'm
Were
not
they near
gonna
Brandon or were they in a
at all,
different
trust
location?
me. But he did.
I don't recall specifically.
Do you recall them walking around in the midst of the scene, like in the driveway?
I don't recall that specifically, no.
So you did not observe them walking back and forth in the driveway?
I don't have any recollection of that, no.
Did you review the body cams from that day?
I have not.
You've never seen the body cam from Officer Robb?
If I have,
I've come up with a new term. Today is Throat Punch Friday, TBF. So if anyone wants to know what TBF means, that's what it means, TBF. I want to throat punch her.
viewed it, I don't have any recollection of viewing it. So I don't have any particular recollection of watching those body cams.
Okay.
And I'm not a violent person.
Was there any glass in the garage?
Not that I recall.
Did you search the garage?
I don't have a particular recollection of searching the garage specifically. I can't tell you that it was searched or not by any other detective or officer there.
But you did not search in the garage?
Throat Punch Friday. I've officially named it Throat Punch Friday. So it's TBF. Yes, 100% TBF.
No, not that I recall.
And the garage door was open when you were there?
I don't recall specifically.
And you don't, and with all the, with all the reports that have been made, there's no.
No, there's still Fortnite Friday. It's after we're done today. It's still Fortnite Friday.
a report indicating that anyone searched the garage to your knowledge. Is that correct?
That's correct.
TP. We're already keeping track.
You had
2-0.
mentioned in your report about it, Brandon making a U-turn and following the shooter. Is that correct?
Correct.
But in your testimony earlier, you talked about he went around the block.
That's correct.
And so which is it? I'm trying to understand where the U-turn came in.
According to our information, what I understood it to be is Brandon, after the shooting, proceeded west on Phelps to Cole Street. He went north on Cole past Waite. Slightly north, there's a community pool there. He stopped him.
Wait, you're right. It can't be TPF because every time people are going to think that we're saying to be frank. So you're right. Totally. I see it now. Thank you. We'll think of a different one.
That general vicinity. And then as the Jeep proceeded north on Cole and then east on
Zero
Waite,
witnesses.
Brandon conducted a U-turn to on Cole to then go south and then east on Waite towards Fisher, I believe is the name of the street. That is that north-south street that runs just east of Phelps.
I'll bet you 2 April Skin brand new items in the box that she has 0 witnesses.
So after he pulled over by the pool, he did the U-turn?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, so after he went on the pool, he didn't just go around the block. He turned around and went around the block?
Yes, eventually after conducting that U-turn is then when he went around the block to eventually make his way back to Phelps Street, where his residence was at.
And you indicated in a report that he...
No, she actually does have an investigator. She did last trial too. She made it difficult. Of course, because she's a Laren. All Larens do.
He followed the suspect briefly after that U-turn. Where did you get that information?
That was information we learned on scene that I believe
100%.
Mr. Woodrow had passed along to officers or detectives on scene.
And you don't know who that was?
I don't know specifically who, no.
And you don't know how you obtained that information then?
That was information I learned on scene. I don't know who in terms of which officer or detective obtained that specifically.
But you did not hear Brandon. Brandon did not express that to you directly. It was through someone else.
I don't recall Brandon expressing that to me directly.
Okay.
This one's absorbing faster.
So in your report, you say that you were unable to locate any projectile anywhere in the Tesla. Is that correct?
We located fragments. I don't think we did not locate anything in terms of a complete projectile.
And were those fragments tested
No,
to see if they were actually bullet fragments and not part of the Tesla?
there was no.
Yeah, let me slow it down a little bit. Sorry about that. Trina K was speaking in slow-mo, so I sped it up and I forgot to speed it back down. Apologies.
No additional testing done. Those fragments appeared consistent with a projectile.
In what way are they consistent with projectile?
The projectile, in terms of it potentially, in terms of making an impact on something, could disperse in fragments. To me, they appear consistent with other fragments of projectiles that I've observed before.
And is that something that could be known through testing?
Potentially, I can't tell you a specific test. I just don't have the knowledge of a specific test to tell, but potentially.
So in our modern world,
I want you guys to watch something. She takes off her glasses when she's about to flirt. That's what she just did. She took off her glasses and that voice changed instantly. Like a damn costume.
can't they test things and find out exactly what gun it came from, that kind of thing? Projectiles?
Object again, just speculation. You just said you didn't know.
Again, you can answer if you know, but if your answer is I don't know, just give your answer.
I'm sorry?
3-0.
I don't know specifically.
What am I doing?
But in your years of experience, have you ever tested projectiles to find out if they were actually bullet projectiles?
No, they're missile projectiles, Lori.
Generally, in terms of my experience in testing projectiles, would be more complete projectiles to try to determine if we could learn, just generally, where maybe what firearm it might have come from. But in terms of fragments, I've never personally, to my knowledge, tested anything additional in terms of fragments to learn. That's just been my experience.
You think the wife too?
And could it be known from a fragment if it was a handgun or a rifle?
He was only married to her for what, like 2 months?
Not that I know of.
So it could only be tested to find out if it was actually a bullet fragment and not actually a piece of metal from the actual Tesla.
Oh, I thought you meant Alex's wife.
I guess you might have to rephrase your question, make sure I can answer it accurately.
Sure. So the projectile pieces itself that we looked at,
Yes,
they can only be tested to find out if they are an actual projectile from a gun.
I don't know the limitations in terms of the testing to answer that for you accurately.
And you work for the Gilbert Police Department, is that correct?
Correct.
And they generally, you would know as a detective of 18 years, like what kind of testing is available to your department, right?
Yes, generally.
Fun fact, the wife that Alex was married to for like 2 months never met his family before marrying him and divorced him after meeting him. And he talked about the incestuous possibilities that she saw with them. Actually, she saw it happen, not it, but other things that make you think of it.
And so why was it not tested or not looked into further to see what kind of bullet fragments those were, or if they were bullet fragments?
I can't answer that for you. I can just tell you that no additional testing was done.
I got it. Fun Fact Friday. Triple F. That was so corny, Michelle.
And who, were you the one that took the fragments out? That
Yeah.
found them?
Yes.
They do.
And what is that process like? Tell me exactly what you did, how you took them out, how that worked.
Yes, simply.
Explain it.
My recollection was just locating the fragments in that rubber molding we had observed earlier, and then just removing them and packaging them from there.
I didn't even
And you package
think of
them in like
that.
an
I'm
evidence bag
sorry.
or Ziploc bag?
I'm
An evidence
stealing
bag,
your
yes.
name and everything.
And so how long did it take you to find those fragments?
No.
I don't recall that.
No, he died similar to how Lori's third husband died, of supposed natural causes. But she had him cremated right away, so they can't go back and exhume and test.
Like,
Fun fact, Tammy Daybell, the only reason they know what happened to her is because they did exhume her body. Chad did not have her cremated.
more than 10 minutes?
I don't know.
That's how they got her charge.
And then you took those fragments out with your fingers or with a tool?
I don't recall. I think in that particular instance, my recollection is they were on that rubber molding, so I probably just removed them with a gloved hand to package them that way.
So you didn't have a tool in your hand or anything? You weren't like, I don't know what kind of tool it would be, so I'm just asking.
I don't recall having any tools to remove that, no.
Right, Ashley?
So you found those 4 small fragments, is that correct?
I found fragments. I don't recall how many. What I believe there were, what was ever in that particular evidence bag is what I had located.
And then they were put into an evidence bag, is that correct?
Yes.
And then
Thank God, luckily for Brandon, yes, he was a terrible shot. I don't understand how, though. Thank you, Mama Bear.
what happened to them after that?
They were impounded by Detective Frere.
So you handed them over to Detective Ferrer,
Yes.
and then where did it go from there? Do you know?
It was impounded at our property building.
Thank you, Kenny.
That day?
Yes.
And then who would be the person in your department who would send those out for testing?
Well, any detective or officer can send anything out for testing.
Okay, it doesn't have to be the case agent.
It doesn't have to be, no.
So you being the person who actually extracted them from the vehicle, you could say, hey, let's test these.
I could, yes.
And you did not.
Can PD take notes?
No additional testing was done, no, that's correct.
And why not?
Felt
Why did you
myself.
not request additional testing?
I don't know. It wasn't anything that came up for me to do.
So were you just under the impression that it was an actual bullet hole?
I don't know.
Under
Can you
his
rephrase your question?
Professional expertise.
So you didn't test those because you assumed that it was a bullet hole and those were fragments from a bullet?
The damage on the vehicle is consistent with a penetration mark from a firearm and a bullet. The fragments located also appear consistent to me with fragments from a bullet. That's my observation.
Could it have been from any other thing?
Yes, it's possible.
Like,
If I remember correctly, he was military. You'd think he would have been a good shot. But 2 of the people he wanted to take out, he missed both of them. Thank God for Brandon. Sadly, Tammy still died of something else. They did? Yes. Thank you. Where at? Did he go without hurting anybody? I'm gonna pull it up, but we'll still play this. I just have to click it first. I want to know. You guys know who she's talking about, right? I won't show you his picture because he's scary. Grant Hardin, the former police chief, was it? Police chief or sheriff? That one. The one who is a rapist. Okay, hold on. Well, hold on. I want to read this. I know I said I pressed play, but I really want to know what happened. Hold on. June 6th, the Stone County Sheriff's Office confirmed that Grant Hardin, the escaped inmate and convicted murderer and rapist, who once served as the police chief in Gateway, Arkansas, has been found and taken into custody. Officials said the so-called Devil of the Ozarks was captured around 3:45 on Friday. Yes. The Izard County Sheriff's Office said that Grant Hardin was found around 1.5 miles north of the prison. Are you effing kidding me? You escaped the prison and you stay right the hell there? No, Arkansas. I mean, well, he should know better than that. But thank God he didn't. Okay, so I forgot where I was at. Well, 1.5 miles north of the prison he escaped from. And his identity has been confirmed via fingerprinting, so it's definitely him. Oh my God. If you see his picture, maybe you'll... Here, look. It's been in our Facebook group. I think I did a video. Did I do a video on this one? I put it in the Facebook group, and I think I put the picture up. I know in the Facebook group it was definitely there. By the way, if you're not in our Facebook group, it's Criminal Musings. Come on down, help us out. Yeah, it's in our Facebook group. You know, we got to stick together with this kind of stuff. We got to keep this stuff circulating. All right, really quick. Let me finish. Okay, so 1.5 miles north of the prison. And here's a quote. We sincerely appreciate the continued support of the community for all law enforcement and Department of Correction personnel involved in this operation, ICSO said. Hardin escaped from the North Central Unit at Calico Rock on Sunday, the 25th of May in broad daylight, while dressed in a makeshift law enforcement uniform, according to the Arkansas Department of Corrections. Yes, they just found him. Well, at 3:45 today. Who? Wait, what? You mean he wasn't captured alive? I didn't get to that part yet. Okay. Local, state, and federal law enforcement, including the U.S. Border Patrol and U.S. Marshals, have been deployed in the search, which lasted nearly 2 weeks. He is. Reported, I got sad for a second, then I remembered who we were talking about. Reported possible sightings of Hardin had occurred in multiple counties and even across state lines. Oh, she was talking about Couch, the other one, not him. Joseph Couch, the other guy we did the manhunt for a while back. Okay, so they got him in custody. The Devil of the Ozarks is captured. He scares the hell out of me, so I'm glad.
Could you have hit it with a tire iron?
Hit what with a tire iron?
The vehicle.
Let me roll this back.
I guess I'm not sure I understand your question.
Could it not be a bullet hole at all? Could it have been hit with a tire iron?
Pretty building.
That day?
Yes.
And then
Hi,
who would be the
Sharon. How are
person in
you?
your department who would send those out for testing?
I didn't think you would either.
Well, any detective or officer can send anything out for testing.
Okay, it doesn't have to be the case agent.
It doesn't have to be, no.
So you
I
being
didn't know that.
the person
Thank
who
you.
actually extract.
Maybe we'll have to
them from the
watch it.
vehicle, you could say, hey, let's test these.
I could, yes.
And you did not.
No additional testing was done. No, that's correct.
And why not? Why did you not request additional testing?
I don't know. It wasn't anything that came up for me to do.
Isn't HBO
So were you
Max
just
the
under the
same
impression
thing?
that it was an actual bullet hole?
Damn it. Sorry.
I don't know. Can you rephrase your question?
So you didn't test those because you assumed that it was a bullet hole and those were fragments from a bullet?
The damage on the vehicle was consistent with a penetration mark from a firearm and a bullet. The fragments located also appeared consistent to me with fragments from a bullet. That's my observation.
Could it have been from any other thing?
Yes, it's possible.
Like, could you have hit it with a tire iron,
Hit what with a tire iron?
the vehicle?
Oh, no, I think he meant Max the channel.
I guess I'm not sure I understand
think-
your question.
Could it not be a bullet hole at all? Could it have been hit with a tire iron?
The damage to the vehicle appeared consistent
No, that was Mel
to
that
me
said
to
it.
be,
Sorry.
again, a penetration point from a firearm and a bullet. I didn't,
Sorry, I thought somebody else had said that, not you, Mel. My bad.
there wasn't nothing that I observed to that damage to lead me to believe that was anything else than being struck by a projectile.
But it could have been something else.
I don't think so. I think from my experience that the damage and what I observed is consistent with a penetration point from a firearm and a bullet.
The court reporter and clerk and staff are overdue for a break, so let's take a short 10-minute recess and then we'll go through to the rest of the day. Please remember the admonition.
I think he wanted a smoke break. Other judges do it too. They just don't do it all the time. I forgot that he did a lot of breaks. Right? I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? I don't either. Right? In that last trial, he did look baked half the time. I'm not gonna lie, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying. Keep hitting the stupid thing. The mask is almost transparent here. It's here and here. Once it turns transparent, that's how you know everything's fully absorbed. Okay, how long are you guys going to sit there and whisper?
I'll issue the other order about the medication.
Do I want a ham and cheese hot pocket? Or I'm hungry.
All rise for the jury.
That's what I'm thinking. I'll wait until this gets fully absorbed.
Please be seated when you get to your seats. The jury is present. The defendant can continue
Not too much
cross-examination.
longer. We're in for a long night anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna, after this gets absorbed. It's like 40% there.
Sergeant McDermott,
No, 50.
when you got a hold of the Jeep, did you do any further trajectory analysis on it?
I'm sorry, you're referring to the Jeep?
Correct.
I never got hold of the Jeep.
You didn't go to observe the Jeep at all?
I did not.
Okay. Do you know who did go observe the Jeep?
Detective Pillar, Detective Olzak.
Lori, do your own work. Don't make this man work for you. Don't give her the answers.
And were you ever aware of any measurements of the Jeep?
No, I was not.
Did you measure the Tesla?
I don't believe any measurements were done concerning the Tesla.
Like how tall it is, how many inches?
FMF. Face Mask Friday.
No.
Would you be surprised that it's 68 inches tall?
Objection, relevance, speculation.
Size
You can
matters.
answer.
I don't know how tall the Jeep is. I'm sorry. I don't know how tall the Tesla is.
Would you be surprised that the Jeep is 66 inches tall?
Objection, speculation. He has nothing to do with the Jeep.
They're at
He already
5.
said he didn't observe the Jeep. I'll sustain the objection.
So the trajectory where you stuck the rod into, we looked at the picture, that was you that stuck the rod into the Tesla?
Be careful where you stick it. Yes, it's FMF now. It's officially FMF. So if you all have face masks, it's FMF. Face Mask Friday.
I didn't personally stick the rod into the Tesla, no.
Okay, you did not do the trajectory testing.
You two gentlemen.
I did not stick the rod into the Tesla. There was no.
My internet cut last night, so we didn't get to finish day 1. So we're doing day 1 and then doing day 2.
Additional trajectory testing, if you will, completed.
Were you there when we looked at the picture? Were you there to observe that rod being put into the Tesla?
Yes.
And who did insert that rod into the Tesla?
I don't recall. I know it wasn't me, though.
But you observed it.
I was present when that particular rod was inserted, yes.
And from your understanding, they were testing trajectory. Is that correct?
I think, yes, that's a fair statement. We were trying to get another visualization of where we suspected that the projectile had come from based upon where the vehicle was located at.
So in all of your information that you're going on is basically information provided to you by Mr. Boudreaux.
I guess, can you clarify a little bit more what you mean by all of my information?
So your information on where the Jeep was, where the Tesla was during the shot is all from Mr. Boudreaux. Is that correct?
Mr. Boudreaux provided a statement to us. The physical evidence on scene was consistent with his statement to law enforcement.
Are you a trajectory expert?
I'm not.
Thank you, Chastity. Thank you. I was sitting here wondering, am I the only one that's sitting here thinking stuff like that? Because, I mean, I had questions. And I didn't want to say it because I don't want anyone to think anything, so I didn't say it. But thank you for opening that door. I appreciate it. I'm not alone.
Is there one on your team?
I guess, can you clarify my team?
Your department, I'm sorry. Is there one in your department, the Gilbert Police Department, that you know of? Someone who's a trajectory expert?
I can't speak specifically for any of our crime scene techs that the Gilbert Police Department employs. I don't know what their specific training is, reference trajectory. I don't know in terms of any other detectives in terms of their specific training. I can't answer that question accurately. I'm not familiar enough with their training.
Okay. So there's no one that you would say, oh, we have to ask Detective so-and-so because he's an expert in trajectory.
I don't possess that knowledge currently to say that, no.
Okay. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Let's talk about the physical evidence at the scene.
I don't think she does know.
The bullet hole in the Tesla. Was this, let me ask you this. You were asked a hypothetical by the defendant of someone hitting the Tesla with a tire iron or something. Why would that not make sense for what you saw?
As I had mentioned earlier, the damage to the Tesla that I observed was consistent with a penetration point from a projectile, consistent with a projectile from a firearm, just based on my observation and experience.
When you are looking at that, are you looking at the indentation to the metal on the vehicle?
There was indentation on the metal, on the vehicle frame. There was.
What do you mean, Shell? That's the first time it's come across that you've typed anything at all. I haven't seen you come up in the chat not a single time. TikTok's been doing its filtering lately. I don't have filter comments on, but TikTok has an auto one that does it, and they've been on it. Huh? You lost me. Hi, Cindy Lou. How are you? It's Face Mask Friday too, so if you've got them, toss them on.
Was a scuff mark inside the frame of the vehicle that was also consistent with the projectile striking it, as well as some metal fragments we located, which were all consistent with the information we received in terms of a gunshot being fired.
Oh, you mean you were talking about us in another chat. Got it.
The fragments
Got it.
inside, or that you located in that rubber molding, were those sort of copper colored? Let me find a photo of them 1 second. Exhibit 41.
Gotta
I
get
can
a
provide you
little more
190
specific.
if you need that.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I can have a Charlie Gold for 190. Having looked at Exhibit 41 and 190, did you observe copper on that?
Yes,
When you are talking about a fragment of a bullet, is that are bullets often wrapped in a copper around the actual projectile?
some projectiles can be wrapped in a kind of a copper casing, yes.
So you were asked whether or not anything in this, when looking at these fragments, if they could have been pieces of the Tesla. As you pulled apart that molding and looked through the hole into the frame of it, did you observe anything else in that Tesla that looked like these type of copper fragments?
Inside the Tesla, I'm sorry to clarify.
Sure. When you pulled down that molding and you're looking through the hole, the projectile hole, and trying to find these fragments, did you notice anything else in that area that seemed consistent with these being part of the Tesla?
No,
In your experience in 18 years having fired guns and collected projectiles and projectile fragments from scenes, is this what a projectile fragment looks like?
yes,
So there's nothing in the Tesla that looks like that, and this is exactly what you see as a fragment in your experience?
yes, that's correct.
So when we're talking about the physical evidence at the scene, we're talking about the actual bullet hole into the car
Yes,
that in your experience and training is consistent with and looks like other projectile holes you've seen?
yes,
And when we talk about the physical evidence, we're talking about the fragments,
that's one part of the physical evidence, correct.
and those were located in line with that bullet hole in the Tesla?
That's correct.
So when you're talking about what this projectile was from and what made this hole, are you looking at both of those things and saying this is made by someone shooting at the car?
Yes, the totality of the evidence is consistent and makes sense with, again, a penetration point from a projectile from a firearm.
When you talk about the physical evidence as well, are you looking at the windshield itself?
When we looked at the windshield, we also looked at the driver's side window where that penetration point was located at.
In terms of the glass that was located on the driveway, was that mostly, I'll call it, held together by the window tint?
Yes, there was a film that was keeping the shape somewhat intact.
At least you know you're not alone. You have me and Catnip doing it too.
The shards that you observed in the Tesla, as well as around that window, were they of the same sort of color and some of them of the same sort of shape as the one you saw out in the street?
Yes, it appeared consistent.
I just give 0 Fs.
You were asked whether or not you searched the garage. Did you have any information that anything had happened in the garage?
No,
So other than there being a garage to this house, the shooting didn't occur there, to the best of your knowledge?
correct. There was no evidence to suggest that there was anything that had, any part of the scene had anything to do with the garage of that residence.
You were asked about whether or not the only information that said this shooting occurred was from Brandon Boudreaux. Do you agree with that?
That was information we received from Mr. Boudreaux, but the physical evidence on scene was also consistent with a shooting.
I know who he looks like. This is why he looks familiar. He looks like the guy from Tokyo Drift, the one that moved to Tokyo. That's exactly who he looks like.
And did you ever become aware of a neighbor also putting a Jeep in the same location that Brandon Boudreaux had indicated it was?
Yes, I had learned that later.
Does anybody know who I'm talking about?
Did you interview Brandon Boudreaux?
No.
Fast and
So
Furious
what
Tokyo
you
Drift.
heard would be information either relayed to you in the briefing or later learning through Detective Pilar?
Correct.
It's a good movie.
You were asked about testing those projectile fragments. Did you have a rifle or gun to compare them to?
Thank you, Missy.
No.
In your experience, in your training, have you generally submitted projectiles or projectile fragments to try to compare them to see if they came from a gun?
Yes, we have submitted projectiles more completely. I don't have any personal experience in submitting fragments personally.
Did you have any doubt when you saw those that those were fragments from a projectile?
I did not.
Did you have any doubt when you saw that hole that was a hole from a bullet or projectile entering into that Tesla?
No, I did not.
Yes.
In terms of the trajectory, you've indicated that detectives, not yourself personally, put a rod into that projectile hole, correct?
Correct.
What was the
Thank
purpose
you.
of doing that?
Again, as I'd indicated earlier, just another visual representation to kind of show what we believe to be in terms of the information provided on scene by Mr. Boudreaux of this rod being inserted into that penetration point to give another visual representation that it was consistent that the direction in which this bullet came from, again, without repeating it too much, was consistent with the information that we had.
So the projectile, the rod showed that it was coming in sort of, I don't have my pen anymore, but sort of into the front of that Jeep frame. I guess it would have been consistent with a vehicle being here shooting at him. Let me put it that way.
Yes, the penetration point and the evidence, especially specifically the damage to the Tesla that Mr. Boudreaux was driving, proceeding westbound on Phelps with a vehicle, which he indicated was the Jeep, positioned on the south side of the roadway facing west as well. A gunshot coming from that vehicle, the Jeep, east towards Mr. Boudreaux as he's driving westbound. That information was consistent with the damage to the Tesla of this penetration point, again, which was penetrating from west to east into the vehicle. That information was consistent with the physical evidence we observed on scene.
Thank you. I have no other questions.
Are there any questions for this witness from any member of the jury? Not seeing any, sir, you can step down.
If I may go get my
Go
next
ahead.
witness.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, fine, I'll say it. Since you guys don't say it, I'll say it. Does anybody feel like they were saying penetration more times than they should have? This is not that kind of crime either. I can be so immature sometimes, I know. Since this part's already fully absorbed, it's like it won't stay anymore. See how it's clear here? Still a little pink here.
All right, sir, come on up. You're gonna stand right up here in front of my clerk. She'll swear you in.
I need to get somebody to do my audiobook for my book. It's starting to get too popular to not, you know? Your mouth or your eyebrows? Which ones are stuck? For me, it's the mouth that always sticks. Ooh! Thank you so much, Sandra. That was so cool. I wondered what that looked like. Thank you.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Absolutely. Hello, my name is David Ferrer. I'm a detective with the Gilbert Police Department, and I have been with the police department for about over 20 years now. Right now, I'm assigned to the Violent Crimes Unit, which investigates anything with violence, homicides, armed robberies, and that type of thing.
Can you tell us the different areas you have worked while working for the Gilbert Police Department?
Absolutely. I started with patrol. I did that, and then I went to become a school resource officer in the high school, which was a great gig. And then I was assigned by the chief as an internal affairs detective. I did that for 2 years, and then I tested and I made it to the Violent Crimes Unit.
You could tell already that he loves his job.
How long have you been in the Violent Crimes Unit?
Since about 2019.
On October 2nd of 2019, were you in the Violent Crimes Unit?
I was.
How long had you been there at that time?
I would say since July of that year.
Were you part of the detectives who were called out to 3875 East Phelps Street in Gilbert?
I was.
When you arrived, can you describe for us what you saw, what the scene looked like?
Sure, detectives get called out a little bit later, so the scene is usually secure. When I pulled up, I recognized that there was yellow police tape around the scene, or at least a portion of it. There was police officers with their marked vehicles in the area.
When you got to the scene, were you briefed or given any information about what it was you were there for?
Yes, we usually receive a briefing from either the case officer that's there on scene or a detective that is right there before I did.
Okay. And what did you understand you guys were investigating there?
Which one?
What I was told was a gentleman was coming home to his house. When he was getting ready to pull into his driveway, he was shot at. He quickly left the area and called 911.
What was your role at this scene?
I usually just, this time I filled the gaps where it needed to be. So I took photographs. I collected any evidence that was there at the scene, coordinated with the case detective, Detective Pillar.
Did you work with Detective McDermott?
I did.
And did you ever work with Detective Biggs?
Yes, I did.
While you were there, did you see the Tesla?
I did. By the time I got to the residence, the Tesla was parked in the driveway and the doors were open.
When you, let me ask you this. In your time as a police officer, have you seen bullet holes in vehicles before?
Yes.
And can you tell us, as a...
I mean, he does work in law enforcement in America. Just saying.
either detective or patrol officer, did you ever have any training on, start first with, processing crime scenes?
Yes, I attended the crime scene and advanced crime scene.
And what is the crime scene and advanced crime scene?
Crime scene can mean many, many things, from photographs to collecting latent prints, trajectory, blood spatter.
Okay. So when you saw this Tesla in the driveway, did you observe or look at a defect in the car?
Yes.
I gotta try to remember that when she's asking questions, she's asking them so that the jury understands everything. So I just was all on her for something, and I just realized why she did it.
Put up starting with Exhibit 26. Where did you notice this defect?
That was the driver's side, right above the door or the window.
And when you observed this, I'm going to put up Exhibit 30. What did you believe this to be?
That is consistent with a bullet hole or a projectile that would go through metal.
Why did you determine that this was from a bullet?
Well, we look at the totality of the circumstances, what's being told to us, what's being reported. According to the victim here, he said that he was shot at because he saw a weapon. And so that's what we were taking it as a bullet hole. It does have the consistency of a bullet hole. You can see the clean that goes into the metal.
When you say clean that goes into the metal, what do you mean by that?
Well, a bullet is very hot when it comes through,
Right.
projectile. And when
I'm
it
gonna
comes
heat up
through,
my
it
thing
can
a
go
little
through
bit.
metal pretty easily. Depends on the round or the type of, it's either a handgun or rifle. This is a larger hole. With the melting around, you can see around the sides. So I would assume with the victim saying he was shot at, that's where the bullet hole would have been.
When you are looking at a scene, are you also looking to the physical evidence to tell you whether or not this is in fact a bullet hole?
Yes, we look at the bullet hole or the hole, see if there's any evidence, maybe pieces of projectile, any type of, it could be a casing on the ground or any of that type of stuff. That's what we're looking for as far as a bullet hole or damage to a vehicle.
So in this case, the shape of this hole and the clean that you described told you that this was from a projectile striking and going into this vehicle?
After we found the projectile, pieces of projectile also.
So in addition to the shape and clean of the hole, you also looked to the physical evidence of the actual projectile fragments?
That is correct.
Were you present when those were found?
Yes, I was.
And we see here in Exhibit 40, is this sort of some molding that was along the frame of that Tesla?
Yes,
Just, I guess, a little to the rear of the bullet hole itself?
yes,
And in that molding were projectile fragments recovered.
yes, and that is one right there.
When you looked at these fragments, what told you they were projectile fragments?
Well, the consistency of what a metal, I'm not a metallurgy by any means, but this would be consistent to what a projectile looks like after it has been struck. Something of hard metal. There's also, there could be some jacketing left on the projectile also. Could be markings, so we're looking for all of that.
Do you look sometimes to see, for instance, if there's anything like a copper on the fragments?
Yes,
In this case, do you recall if there was copper on the fragments?
yes, I believe there was.
In your training and experience, having worked as an officer for over 20 years and having seen other projectile fragments, was what you and the other detectives found in that molding consistent with all the other projectile fragments you'd ever found?
Yes, they all are similar in shape and size and color.
And in your training and experience, when a bullet hits something hard like a metal, have you on other occasions seen projectiles fragment like that?
Yes. And that depends a lot on the bullet itself.
So depending on the bullet and what it hits changes if it fragments or not.
That is correct.
In this case, though, knowing this went through metal, were you surprised to see it fragmented?
No.
In this investigation, did you help canvass the scene to try to find any residents who might have cameras that might be around to show anything?
Yes, and that's a normal practice.
In doing that, did you find anyone who had any cameras that showed anything?
There were people with cameras, but they didn't catch. Sometimes the cameras don't go all the way to the roadway. It's just to their walkway for their own purposes.
Okay. Did you help in any way with searching the roadway to try to recover any other pieces of those fragments?
Yes, but searching for fragments on a roadway is very difficult. We even brought out a metal detector to try, but we're talking about a vast area because the victim actually drove away from the scene. So some of the projectile could have been left in the vehicle until he left. He turns a corner, he speeds up, slows down, it could have fallen out. So it's very difficult to find anything else on a roadway that large or a scene that large.
And you're talking about what could be small little pieces.
Very small.
So although you guys attempted to follow the path that Brandon had expressed he'd driven,
Yes, we did.
did you locate anything?
No.
As a detective in the Violent Crimes Unit, do you often help other detectives with sort of follow-up work?
Yes.
So if they need a little help executing a search warrant or doing something like that, you might get tasked with that?
Absolutely.
So in addition to helping to work this scene and helping to process the Tesla, were you asked later on in December 23rd of 2019 to help execute a search warrant on a Ford F-150 that was owned by Alex Cox?
Yes, it was.
Where was that search warrant executed? Where did you, I guess, process and search through the vehicle?
The Gilbert Police Department has a property building, and it's a very large parking lot for vehicles. And there are 2 fully covered bays
that we actually can bring our vehicles into to keep us kind of out of the weather. It's very hot in Arizona, obviously, so it's very hard to search out in the middle of a parking lot. So these bays are air conditioned, and we were able to close the doors, and that's what we did at 2750 East Williamsfield Road, and that's in Gilbert.
So were you tasked on December 23rd of 2019 to help execute a search warrant on a Ford F-150 that was owned by Alex Cox?
Yes, I was.
Were photographs taken during that search warrant?
Yes.
No, I haven't done it yet. I can't do it until after the live.
John, the defendant exhibits 112 through 118. If I can have a paralegal approach. If you can take a look at those and let me know if you recognize those photographs.
Sorry.
Yes, I do.
And are those photographs that were taken during that search warrant on December 23rd?
Yes, what usually happens is we'll have a crime scene technician who will, when we start the warrant, they will take overall photographs before we even search the vehicle, before we even touch the vehicle. So that was where a lot of those photographs came from. Once that is completed, and sometimes they search for DNA, they swab the insides of the vehicle. Then once that is all finished, then I will actually go in to the vehicle to search it.
Thank you. Oh, did they? I bet they're beautiful.
It will move to admit exhibits 112 through 118.
No objection.
112 through 118 are admitted.
I'm here. I'm just
So in
eating.
112, do we just see, I guess, photographs are taken of the exterior of the vehicle, like you said?
Yes.
So 113 and then 114, does that show the rear and the license plate of this truck?
Yes.
So it was a personalized plate, CPQUINT?
Yes, and when you first showed me those pictures, I've searched a lot of vehicles. So the first couple pictures show the truck, but once I see the license plate, I remember that license plate specifically because it is personalized.
Okay. So in this Jeep, did you look inside to see if you could find a registration?
It was the F-150 I searched.
Uh-huh.
And yes, I found the registration, and it was all those items that were photographed were found in the middle console in between the driver and passenger seat.
Okay. So in exhibit 116, we see that this vehicle is registered to Alexander Lamar Cox.
That is correct, and that is that truck. We do match it with the VIN.
Okay. And this was from 4/8 of 2019.
Well, that's when
That was printed at least.
Yeah.
Did you find inside a letter from Chad Daybell to Alexander Cox?
Yes, I did.
Did you find inside this vehicle any evidence of gun ownership?
Yes, and in the picture, you can see.
And I'm going to put up 117. Is that a closer up of one of the items?
Much better.
There was a letter in that vehicle from Chad to Alex?
What is that?
That is a practice
Wow.
bullet. When you're loading your gun, it will help you dry fire. It will, because when the chamber of a weapon is empty, it usually will not fire unless it has something in there. So that's what we use for this type of thing.
Wow.
It's a 223 round, so that means it's going to be a rifle. And this is just a practice round, so you'll be able to cock the gun however it is, and it will load so you can pull the trigger. And that's usually for help aiming the rifle.
And then did you also find some earplugs in there?
Yes, and that's common for when you go to the range or even at the Gilbert Police Department when we shoot our qualifications. We are issued some earplugs just like that, the orange.
We just need the connection to Lori. We just need something or someone to say that she said something or knew something or did something. Chad and Alex, 100% yes.
And did you impound all those items?
I did.
The state has no further questions for this witness.
All right, Ross.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and start.
Detective Farrar, when did you arrive on the scene that day? Do you remember?
I do not.
Who was there when you arrived?
I believe Detective Pillar, Detective McDermott. I arrived with Detective Biggs.
Okay. Did you see Officer Robb there when you arrived?
I believe she was there.
And what did you do when you first got there?
The score is still 5-0, guys.
This was several years ago, but it would be normal for me to get a quick briefing to see what happens and what needs to be done.
Okay. And who briefed you?
I can't recall, but it's usually either a patrol officer or it could be the case detective.
She always uses it when it's men or older women, like older women. Not. It's always there.
Which was Detective Pillar?
Yes.
Okay.
Until she
Pillar or
finds
Pillar?
out that
Pillar.
they're immune.
Okay.
Then it
And
goes,
do you don't remember if it was Detective Pillar who was the one who briefed you?
I'm sorry, I do not.
Okay. But you were briefed to what did the briefing consist of?
What basically crime we had, what had occurred at the scene, and if there was any evidence on scene to start with.
And did you observe other people at the scene as well?
Yes, there were several officers, and I do remember the victim was with a few other friends, I believe, but they were outside the crime scene.
welcome back, Texas.
And where was the victim and his friends located when you saw them?
They were outside the crime scene.
Can you tell us where that was in the neighborhood?
Well, it was visible from the actual house. So crime scene was across the road, I'd say maybe 50 yards away from us.
Okay. Just sitting or standing or hanging out?
I think they were just staying there until Detective Pillar was going to go question them.
You had mentioned that Brandon told his story and then someone briefed you about it. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you took photos? Is that
I
correct?
took, yes, some photos, yes.
How many photos do you think you took?
I don't recall.
A lot?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm sorry.
Giggling at him.
More than 20?
Yes,
Okay. Less than 100?
probably.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And then you said you collected evidence. What evidence did you collect?
That was a max level of her flirtation so far this trial. Yeah, I don't know. You guys think she's gonna top that?
Stood by and I received the projectiles that were removed from the Tesla.
100%.
And they went into an evidence bag?
Yes.
And then they were delivered where?
We take them to the Gilbert Police Department. We have a property room there. We can itemize it and seal it and store it in a locked container.
And someone's in charge of that. It's logged in, I guess.
Yes, every piece of property that is taken in has its own unique identifying number. It's unique for the Gilbert Police Department as Mesa, or the other people would have their own unique numbers also.
Okay.
I hope she doesn't get to ask Brandon a question. You know how she put it off till later. I hope that it comes there. They don't let her have that, because that's not fair at all.
So it would basically consist of like the log having its number, the name, the date, or something
I know,
consistent with that?
Yes, consistent with that, yes.
Okay. And did they remain there until now when they're here? Or
They would stay in storage until a detective or somebody checks it out.
okay. And that would probably be the case agent would check them out to bring them to court?
Yes, that's
Okay.
normal.
Maybe that's how she got her questions. Maybe she was watching Karen Reed. So that's how she got her questions for court.
Procedure.
And then, do you know if any of those projectiles were tested?
Tested?
Yeah. To be consistent with a handgun or a rifle?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And who would do that testing if they were tested? Who would
We-
send that out?
We would send it out.
So you could do it?
No, we would send it out to a scientist or a forensic scientist of some sort.
Okay. But I'm saying you could be one to say, hey, we should test this.
Yes, I believe so, yes. If we believe there's evidence in it.
Or the case agent could send it out.
Yes,
Anyone could request it, is what you're saying.
true.
And did anyone request that?
I'm not aware of that.
And did you specifically request that?
I did not.
Thank you, Cass.
You mentioned something about it being large, the bullet hole. How large was it? I had a picture.
Well, you can see in the pictures, I would say approximately, it's been a while, but I'd say approximately maybe 2 inches by 2.5, something in that frame.
Okay. I saw that there was a measuring tape on there that had about 2 inches on it, but it was much smaller than that.
Okay.
Would you say it was more than the size of a dime?
Well, we'd have to look at the photographs if you have them with the, I can give you a better understanding of the size.
You had mentioned that you had searched for casings on the ground. Is that correct?
We look for casings or projectiles, yes.
Did you find any casings anywhere?
No.
Would that be common?
To not find?
Correct.
It all depends.
Where would a casing go? Is my question.
There's no scientific way we know which would come out of a gun. We know either right or left, but when, as far as even the gun, it could bounce, hit anything. There's just a million other things it could do to end up anywhere.
I had taken that sticker off to put one of the other ones in, and I just took it off the day before yesterday. So it will figure I take it off, and then we wanted to use it like 3 times today already.
Okay. And you mentioned that you had brought in a metal detector. Would that detect a casing?
It would pick up a casing sound, yeah.
And what was the area where the metal detector was used to try to find some kind of metal or casing? How large would you say?
Well, we tried the window itself that had shattered out around the vehicle, where the vehicle first came in. We walked the roadway.
Mm-hmm. In the street?
In the street, yes.
See how this part of the mask is the only part that's really still pink? The only reason that is because it's stretched here. So it's not pressing down up against the skin. Everywhere else is except for this.
Maybe all of the blocked off area from the police tape?
Yes, and I believe that some detectives might have went to the park, walked up to the ground of the park, where we believe that's what the victim told us he went, call 911.
Okay. And then, did anyone go past those markings, like where perhaps Mr. Boudreau had said that he saw the Jeep following him? Like that another shot may have been executed?
I'm sorry.
Mel, make sure after you take your mask off, you take the serum that's in the bag and put it on your face. That stuff is basically worth its weight in gold.
You don't understand the question?
In looking for casings on the ground or in that area, was that search expanded beyond where the police tape was?
Yes.
So would it go all the way to where Mr. Boudreau would have said that the Jeep passed him? Looking for further casings, I mean.
Yes.
Okay. But none were found?
None.
Unless you just have a couple more, we should probably break and get the jury to the jury bus.
Okay, Your Honor.
Do you have a couple more, or should we break?
I have more than that.
Okay, let's
so
recess
good.
for the evening. Members of the jury, remember, we're going to start early tomorrow. Please be here ready to go at 9:30 a.m., 9:30 a.m. I appreciate it. Please remember the admonition.
Now to day 2.
Yes.
I know. Yeah, he was like, I'm out. So don't do any spoilers, guys. So are we thinking Lori gets kicked out of court then, though? But without a spoiler. And when you do the April skin ones, that's the one that has all the beads in it. So you get extra by using the serum in the bag. I always take the eye patches. Put them right there. It better not. It better not. You know what's weird? After wearing that mask, my skin looks really even more pale than usual. I know, me too. I'm just glad that they just got that former chief of police. That guy scared the hell out of me. And the fact that they caught him only 1.5 miles away from the prison. He should have known better. I'm glad he didn't, but he should have known better. Thank God he didn't. I know. I think that's one of the reasons it chilled me so much. This is like sliding all the way down my face. No, I don't. I live in Illinois. Thank God they captured him after his escape. Thank God that they did. I thought you didn't leave until... Oh wait, today is Friday. I forgot. I totally forgot. What time's your flight?
All right, welcome back. Please be seated. Thank you for your patience. All right, the defense can continue with its cross of this witness.
You're gonna let us know when you land, right? I know, I forgot though. Fibro-fog. A 100%. I'm just kidding. You don't have to send me anything.
Okay.
Lori's got a
Detective
fancy suit.
Yesterday, we were talking about, you collected the evidence, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so what all evidence did you collect yourself?
The projectiles from a bullet.
Is there any other evidence that you collected?
At the scene or?
Yes, at the scene.
Yes, just the projectile.
Just keep sliding all the way down.
And then, was there a cigarette collected at the scene, is that correct?
I don't recall that.
Okay.
I did not impound that.
You never saw it?
I don't recall it.
Okay. And you had collected the items that were in the Ford F-150, is that correct?
Yes.
And you collected the earplugs that were in the truck?
Yes.
And you stated that those were common among people who frequent a shooting range, is that correct?
Yes.
And during the course of your investigation, did you learn that Alex Cox frequently visited shooting ranges?
No.
Okay.
He went to shooting ranges. He missed both targets.
You mentioned that you remembered Alex Cox's vehicle license plate because it was personalized, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank God.
And then in the course of your investigation, did you discover what his license plate stood for?
No.
Okay.
Well, technically she has co-counsel. They could give her like little bits of advice.
Or what it was a reference to?
I do not know.
Okay.
Right?
Did you learn in the course of your investigation that Alex did stand-up comedy?
No.
Okay.
I thought he did poetry. Which one is it? I think it is too. Thank you, Cass.
We talked about
She thinks
the hole
everyone
in
does.
in the Tesla, is that correct?
Yes.
And you said it was consistent with a bullet hole, is that correct?
Thank you so
Yes.
much, Cass.
And so that could be a bullet from a rifle or a handgun?
Yes.
For those that don't know, to give you a better understanding, this is her third trial. She made sure that they were separated. This is her third time being the center of attention, which is what Lori has been all of her life. This is it. After this, she gets to be the center of attention in prison. Thinks that she's gonna do some crazy stuff? Just wait.
So either one.
Either one.
And those fragments weren't tested to find out if that was from a bullet or, I mean, the bullet was from a rifle or a handgun.
I did not see
It doesn't. She's just putting on a show. Oh no.
You also said that
Thank you, Glam.
you were the one that canvassed the neighborhood for videos?
One of many.
Okay. But in your report, you said that at 3854 Phelps, that the individual had heard a loud bang, but did not investigate it, said it didn't sound like a gunshot. Is that correct?
Can I object to hearsay?
Sustained.
6-0.
And you had stated that you did collect the fragments, is that correct?
Objection asked and answered.
But the majority of the bullet was never
7.
located, is
Let
that
me
correct?
rule on the
Oh, sorry.
objection as sustained.
And the majority of the bullet,
Sorry. she says objection asked and answered. And Lori continues talking, and the judge says, "Wait a minute, let me rule." Sustained.
bullet was
Sorry.
never located, is that correct?
We had a projectile. That's what we found. The just pieces of it.
Okay.
Fragments.
And you had put in your report that you believed it had fallen out during when
That's
the
just-
victim drove
that's-
away?
It's a possibility. There's a lot of possibilities.
So my question is, how would it have fallen out?
I'm sorry, you guys.
How could you explain it falling out? Could you explain that to me?
It depends where the bullet hole or the projectile goes into a vehicle.
What do you mean? We just started day 2, literally. Wait, okay, screen record right now, but then roll the comments up to where it happened, and then I'll give you the screen recording of the snort, and then we could line it up.
There's several. A vehicle is not
It ended.
sealed. All sealed up, so there's not ever breathing or anything like that. So there's holes in it, and there's ways that let's say like venting and that type of stuff for a vehicle. So when a vehicle is in motion, it moves, right? It rocks, goes over bumps.
Wow.
That's why they have shock absorbers. So anything that's on top, it's just like when you accidentally leave your coffee on top of your vehicle and you drive off. It's a good chance it's going to fall off, and it's the same as a projectile on a vehicle also.
Okay. So how far down were the fragments that you found into the hole that was made in the Tesla?
It was located by another detective, but it was easy enough for us to retrieve.
So like
I don't.
inside the hole somewhere.
Yes.
But just so I understand,
You forgot about Lori Daybell? The goddess? In her own mind.
the bullet breaks apart, is that correct?
Yes.
And so maybe the majority fell out and those pieces were left inside.
But she can officially say she's an experienced trial attorney now, because this is not her first time. Nope.
I wouldn't know how much of the bullet was taken apart or how much damage that bullet or projectile would have had.
Okay.
Just like Sarah Boone had to for a little bit, and Daryl Brooks the whole damn time. Oh my gosh.
But some of the pieces could be in there and the majority of it could fall out?
That's a theory, yes.
And it wouldn't be
Fall out.
wedged in.
We didn't locate anything that was wedged in.
But that,
Yeah, she's questioning right now. Hold on, I think I missed a couple questions. Yes, Rebecca. Lori, I think that they were saying approximately a week and a half for this one. You know, unless, Lori actually calls a witness. I mean,
that could have been due to just driving around the block because, like you said, the car jostles.
right, kidnapper.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
If the car had not been in motion, then the bullet should have been intact. Is that correct?
No, when a bullet hits, it depends on the type of bullet, frangible or non, the make, the model. If it hits a solid object, bullets have different properties. So some will break apart a little easier than others. Some will go right through. It just depends on the make and the model of the bullets.
Okay. So no testing was done on this bullet to find out what kind of bullet it was.
The projectile.
She just
Correct.
says, okay.
I mean, no.
I did not send it for testing.
Okay. Is that something that could be found out?
What do you mean?
What kind of bullet it was from the fragments?
I believe there's a test that possibly does it.
Okay. And you didn't think that was necessary?
I was not the case detective on this.
I think I got it all. My face is like super shiny now. And it's
So
really
since those
white.
bullet fragments were not tested in any way, the markings on there that you had testified to yesterday that were copper were part of the jacket. Is that correct?
I had on an April Skin face mask.
The coloring?
Yes.
The color, yes.
So that's just from a visual. That's not from any kind of testing of the copper. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So just looking.
I said that earlier. I was saying that earlier.
Got
It's
it.
the color.
Okay. That color, copper color, could have been from the Tesla itself?
I didn't see any copper coloring on the outside of that Tesla. It was white in color.
Okay. And then when you said you canvassed it,
Now I just need to get a little bit of a tan. Then it'll be looking nice.
neighborhood or the Gilbert Police Department canvassed the neighborhood, there was no camera coverage to your knowledge. Is that correct?
I know.
People I talked to did not have any. I believe there was camera footage found by other detectives or officers. Yes.
Oh, there was,
Possibly, yes.
but you did not discover any,
No.
and you have never seen any?
No.
And have you been working on this case this whole time, or what was your involvement as far as from October 2nd to when you worked on this case?
The original.
Lori, did you do any research for your own murder trial? Any at all? Oh my God.
Original call out I was part of, and then I was requested to come execute the search warrant on the
Yes,
40-150.
she is.
And that was December 23rd.
Several counts of that, yes.
And that kind of ended your
Yes.
dealings with this case?
Yes.
Okay. So all of the
I know.
reports that you had written were in between that time frame?
Yes.
No more questions, Your Honor.
All right, redirect.
That's what she said, Cindy Lou. I'm gonna have to remake that sticker, you guys.
Detective, I'm going to start with sort of where we were just ending and go back to some issues from yesterday.
You know.
In this Tesla, did you note damage to the molding where the window would have gone up into the frame of the Tesla?
Yes.
I have the outline, please. Thank you.
Catnip, you use these. The eyes and the mouthpiece from the mask, you use them afterwards, right?
So we're looking
So
here at Exhibit 39.
worth it.
So would it be fair to say that there's not a great seal anymore between where the window went up into the frame and the car itself?
That is correct.
And
The
were you-
cutouts for
Did
them.
you also view the glass itself?
Yes.
Laying on the driveway?
Yes.
These.
And did you also, Exhibit 46, note that little notch or divot in the glass itself?
Yes.
Oh, she
Is that
has.
sort of consistent with the location of where the window would have gone up into the frame of the vehicle?
That is correct.
So when you're talking about a seal of a window going up into the frame, does the fact that the molding was broken and that there's a divot in the glass and the glass was completely shattered impact whether or not all those fragments or pieces
April
of that
skin.
projectile might remain inside the Tesla?
There's a good chance
Relevancy.
they would fall out of it.
Her greatest and most used objection is relevancy. That was her last trial. I know it's hard to keep track with this one. She's been found guilty in her first trial for unaliving her 2 children and her current husband's wife. Then the trial that just finished was of her conspiring to unalive her fourth husband. This one is of conspiring to unalive her niece's former husband. She's been a busy woman. She's been really, really busy.
The Tesla.
Because the seal is no longer the same as it once was, right?
Correct.
And on top of that, she's always been the center of attention. The fact that this is her last trial means this is her last time in the spotlight. She lived this her entire life, being the center of attention and always having that spotlight on her. And she knows she's about to lose that spotlight. That's why I think she faked sick the other day. I think she knows that this is her last hurrah, so if you will. Yeah, I bet you guys, I bet you. She knows. After this, it's only the people in prison that she's been preaching to that are going to be their center of attention. The orbit's not going to be big enough for her,
Yesterday about the length
in my
of the
opinion.
bullet hole or the size of this bullet hole. Do you recall that?
Yes.
When you're talking about the A here, were you trying to measure from not just the damage of where the bullet started to impact or cause that concaveness in the frame, but just the actual hole itself?
Yes.
Does that still tell you the size of the bullet?
No.
That's just the damage that it caused as it entered into the frame of this Tesla?
That is correct.
You were asked yesterday about casings and fragments, and can we explain what a casing is, what a projectile is, and what fragments are?
Sure. A casing is what the bullet is contained in. That's where the black powder and the actual bullet itself is attached to. A casing is usually discarded after the bullet is fired out of the gun, and it's usually...
I could see her doing that. I could see her joining a GANG and getting that. I could totally see that for protection.
It could be caught. It depends on what kind of weapon there is. Revolvers actually keep the casings in as a circle. Rifles are known to could keep the casing inside until you eject it yourself. The semi-automatic weapons, which police use and which are more common, they have a semi-action. It will eject the casing out.
But she won't do it for a while because she's still passing on this persona of this godly woman. That's why she has this little group, in my opinion. She still wants to claim that godliness of her. It's not going to be, you won't see something like that from her until later when she starts to realize nobody gives a shit. Then she starts to get forgotten. That's when the show will stop. And she knows that that's getting closer.
The casing just holds the bullet. Once the bullet is fired from the gun, it comes out very, very hot. We were trying to explain is when it hits a certain item, it just depends on the integrity of the bullet itself.
Lindsay.
How strong is that bullet? Is it going to be strong enough to go through metal? Usually not. And so once it hits an item, it is compromised. The bullet is compromised and it makes fragments. It falls apart. And that's where the fragments come from. And that's what we found in this Tesla, with just fragments of the actual bullet.
Okay, so when we're talking about the fragments that you recovered, those pieces of the projectile after it broke apart and after it had first gone through or into the Tesla frame, this metal, and then broke apart.
Like a slanted Lego.
You talked about the fragments that you recovered.
That is correct.
Now, the defendant asked you about casings and if you found any at the scene. Do you recall that line of questioning?
I do remember that.
If you were advised that the person firing the rifle was lying in wait inside of the back of a Jeep, that only part of the barrel of that rifle came out the rear window, and then the rifle was fired, where would you expect that casing to land?
More than likely, it would still be inside that vehicle, the Jeep.
Okay, so you would not expect it to fly forward out of the Jeep and land out on the ground?
No.
The defendant asked you about if you saw a casing over by the pool. Would you expect, absent, I guess, a hole in the floor of the Jeep, to find the casing over there if it was still in the Jeep?
No.
So
never found the casing next to a pool.
But But you wouldn't expect to find a casing over
No.
there, right?
No.
There was no evidence of anyone shooting over there,
Right.
and there would be no reason for a casing to be over there.
Correct.
Very, very extra light. I don't know if I like that.
So in this case, given the information you were given, were you surprised that you didn't find a casing?
Almost like
No.
sickly.
It doesn't mean we don't look for the casing. We automatically look for the casings. But since it was inside of a vehicle, it's just like a drive-by shooting type of thing. We'll say once we pull the car over, the casings will be inside that vehicle, most likely. Then one or two might pop out if they have their gun outside the window, something like that. The casing might. But usually we search. There was no casing found in this, so we determined it was more likely than not, inside that vehicle still.
He has like that Cajun sound to his voice.
And the casing was in the windowsill? Sorry.
Yeah, the casing was more likely than not inside that vehicle still.
Inside the Jeep still?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Are there any questions from the jury? I don't see any. Sir, you can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
They're not playing around. They're just getting everything done. Right now, anyways. Yeah, her second trial, his first time presiding over her though, there was quite a few times. Some of you remember there's quite a few times I was wondering, and I told you guys, does it seem like he's fallen under her spell? It was more towards the beginning.
All right, ma'am, come on up here.
It's
You're gonna
more
stand
towards the
right here for my
beginning.
clerk to be sworn in.
Now he's over it, and she knows it, so there's no need for the baby voice with him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now he knows she's just batshit crazy.
Yeah, go ahead. That's great. You'll scoot into that microphone.
And not the good kind. I have that tank top.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Lena
And what's your last name?
Mendoza.
Thank you. Do you currently live here in Arizona?
I do.
Back on October 2nd of 2019, where did you live?
In Gilbert,
And what was your address back then?
3893 East Fairview Street.
And how long did you live at that location?
In total, 6 years.
Okay. I'll show you. I can have a paralegal start with exhibit 2. To look at exhibit 2, a map. Does that show sort of the area of your neighborhood as well as where your house would have been located back in October 2nd of 2019?
Yes.
State will move to admit exhibit 2.
Okay,
Any
thank
objection?
you.
No objection.
Two's admitted.
So don't go anywhere, guys. There's about to be a thing.
Okay. So you told us your address was 3893 East Fairview Street?
Yes.
That gave me chills. 3 Fairviews. Somebody's trying to tell us something.
We see Fairview here on exhibit 2. Approximately where was your
Yeah,
residence
it was over my
on this
head.
map?
It is the house on the very corner.
Is it the corner of Fisher and Fairview?
It's starting to feel like this is Elm Street. But Fairview, but Elm Street, you know?
Or
It's
which corner are we talking
creepy.
It's been a little. I'm sorry. It's.
Yes.
There's a map right there.
Oh, sorry.
Ooh, I just got the
I'm trying to think.
chills.
Record.
twice.
Fairview.
Right, so it's either Fisher or Cole, I can't remember which street corner. So there's a park and it's right on the corner.
Okay.
Fry, Wrecker, turn in, Morlow, so around to
The
Fairview.
former sheriff
Put
did,
up
yeah.
3. Is this the park you're talking about?
Right?
Yes.
So right on the corner here.
Yes, right there on the corner.
I used to be
So you're
terrified
right
of
there.
him.
Yes, right here.
Yes, that's
Terrified.
the house.
Back on October 2nd of 2019, did you have a Ring doorbell?
Yes.
Did your front door sort of face out towards Fairview Street?
Yes.
And do you recall sort of where your Ring doorbell was located?
Yes.
Where was it?
So from the front door, it sat off to the left-hand side if I was in the home at the front, and it faced out towards that street.
Did it sometimes get a little bit of this intersection here?
All the time, yes.
Okay. And was it sort of motion activated?
Yes.
Okay. So that means that when there was some sort of vehicle going by, it might activate it to start recording.
Yes.
Do you recall back on October 2nd, an officer coming around and asking you if you had a Ring system and to kind of look in the time range of 9:15-ish to see if you had any footage of vehicles going by?
I do.
Thank you, Joanne. How
And
are
were
you?
you asked to email any recordings to the police department?
Yes,
And did you do that?
I did.
And Your Honor, I can show defense counsel for the defendant exhibit 120 if I can have my paralegal show that to the witness.
He was in here earlier. They did, yes. But no, not Noah McDermott, the last guy that was in here, he never went to it to see it in person. He'll probably end up coming in here later, looking for me. He's starting to sleep all day like the other cats now. Like, there's no chasing mommy from room to room anymore. I told Aaron, I said, I need another kitten.
Did you recognize that as your residence
Yes.
and your Ring video
Yes.
and the footage that you sent to the police?
Yes.
Did it have both audio and video?
Yes.
State will move to admit exhibit 120.
Any objection?
No objection.
120 is admitted.
I just need to baby him. And he's like, no, I don't need it anymore. I'm just like, why? Oh, they grow up so fast. Trigger warning.
And if we could just show at the beginning we missed where.
Where are you, Rhonda? Jesus.
So when you had your
What is the orange one? Male or female?
you had your Ring video, would it sometimes like glitch and you'd see a vehicle like we saw in the beginning, a black vehicle?
Yes.
So in this video, were you asked to look
There's no way in hell that was a paint gun. No way.
for vehicles and the sound of any shooting?
I remember being asked to look for a vehicle crossing in that time, and I saw that at the beginning of the vehicle you see, or the video, you see the vehicle, and that was what I noticed first.
I totally thought you were gonna tell me that you named him Simba because I have Nala and she's orange. I totally thought you were gonna say Simba, and then you just say Kevin.
And then when you were watching it yourself,
You're
you heard
adorable.
a bang noise.
Correct.
And so given that,
Oh, all males.
looking for the black vehicle and then you noticing the bang, that's what you sent to the police.
Yes.
And that's your home sort of looking out, as we said, of Fisher And Barry.
Yes.
Thank you. Steve has no other questions for this witness.
I say it all with love.
Cross-examination.
No, Your Honor, no cross.
Any questions for this witness from the jury? Don't see it.
Is she gonna put any work into her defense at all? Any whatsoever?
Ma'am, you can step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, members of the jury, we took Mr. Boudreau's cross-examination out of order. We're now going to complete that, so I'm going to ask Mr. Boudreau to come back up.
Next time Aaron comes in here, let him know that it's totally normal for me to get a fifth cat. Like, it would totally be acceptable when he comes back in, okay?
All right, sir, go ahead and have a seat on the witness
Okay,
stand.
I'm
You're still under
nervous.
oath. I'll just remind you to try to speak into that microphone.
I know he
All right,
looks
the defendant can
haunted.
start her cross-examination.
Haunted every single time. Oh, he did not sleep well last night. Oh, shit. I feel that. It's okay.
Robert Abernathy gets here. He has some photos and things I need to have marked. So can we stop for a minute when he gets here to do
Yep.
that? Okay.
Just have him go right up to the clerk when he gets here.
He did yesterday too. Well, a little bit ago for us, but in yesterday's day one, he did too. He looks like he hasn't gotten any sleep and he looks utterly and totally haunted.
Mr. Boudreau, you and I met in 2009. Is that correct?
I believe we met in 2008.
Okay.
This
Before
is
you got
not
married,
fair.
right?
Correct.
Okay. And you got married in 2009. Is that correct?
I believe I was married October 31st, 2008.
This is not fair whatsoever.
But that's when we met. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So we've known each other a long time. Is that correct?
A long time can mean a lot of different things.
Since 2008.
Correct.
Okay. And we had a familial connection. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you for the follow.
And we always had a friendly relationship, you and I. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say always.
Right?
Okay. Until what time?
Until
You tried to have
probably
me in a
end of
life.
2018.
Okay.
If he would have answered that question with, until you tried to have me unalived, that would have been him taking his power back right there. Not
We spent
saying
many
he's
holidays
not.
together.
We did.
And you and Melanie were married a little over 10 years. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I was there at your wedding. Is that correct?
Correct.
And I came to Utah to help you when your first child was born. Is that correct?
I'm going to object to relevance.
I'll allow it.
Lori just won one. Have a good night. Don't forget to pack. Be safe. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Correct.
Lori.
And I was there when your second child was born. Is that correct?
You were not present when my child was born, but
Well, I came to help and watched Braxy, so I was there.
you visited with you were with my family, correct?
Okay. And I flew in from Hawaii when Blake was born to help with the kids, and I watched them while you and Melanie were at the hospital. Is that correct?
Object again to character evidence.
Sustained.
State 8, Lori 1. This is very wrong.
And I did watch the kids when Breezy was born as well. Is that
Your Honor,
correct?
I'm going to object and ask to go in 405 soon.
For
And we went on
Watson.
vacations together, you and I. Is that correct?
Ms. Vallow, okay. Move on to relevant information. Okay. You've established you have a
10.
relationship with him that's a close family relationship since 2008.
This is not fair at all.
Go ahead.
And you came to visit me in Hawaii a few times. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
I'm just asking in the sense that it was him coming to me.
All right.
There's things that happened there that I'm going to.
Approach.
Okay.
This is not fair. This is not right whatsoever. Did she already give away her soul completely? Like, I just mean the extra level of it, you know? Not that the other times didn't count. I'm just mean, like, she'd already had done it. Now she's just like, screw it. Let's just put it all out there. Your battery's dying, isn't it? I think she is too, Mama Bear. I totally think she is too. She's totally enjoying this. Right? There wasn't much left to give.
Brendan, you and I had never had an argument with each other, is that correct?
That's not correct.
Okay, when did we ever have an argument, you and I?
I'm gonna object to relevance. Is there something specific about that? Are we talking in 10 years?
All over, well, you can answer.
Lori, too.
The most recent argument that I would say we have is when I was texting you in June.
That was June 25th, 2019, is that correct?
Correct.
Go to your charger.
And had you been upset with me before that time?
Are you talking about ever in our lives?
Yeah.
I'm sure we're all human. I'm sure there was times I was upset with you.
Is there something specific that you were upset with me about before the June 25th text messages?
I'm gonna object to relevance if there's something more specific.
Sustained.
Were you upset with me about Juice Island?
I'm
is
gonna
Juice
object
Island?
as to relevance and 404.
Sustained.
I was wondering why she didn't name the 404 yet.
Brendan, you had mentioned before that Melanie and I were close, is that correct?
Correct.
And you were aware that I loved Melanie. Is that correct?
I can't say if you loved her or not.
Your son took it, didn't he?
But you saw that over the 10 years that you were married to her, right? You witnessed it with your own eyes.
What is it you're asking that I witnessed?
Me loving Melanie.
As I said, I can't state what you did or did not feel. I can't say what you felt.
But I acted in a way that was loving towards her in as far as you knew.
Asked and answered.
Object again to relevance, 404 and 405 character evidence.
Sustained.
15-2.
So we were all together as a family frequently, is that correct?
This is Brandon Brudeau. That's who she's on trial for conspiring to unalive. Her niece's former husband.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And there were times when we were at your house as well as my house, is that correct?
An objection to relevance.
Sustained.
And until you sent me that text message on June 25th that we read yesterday, you and I had never had any disagreements with each other. Is that correct?
I would not agree with that statement.
I'm getting really nervous.
You and I had ever had an argument?
Can you ask that question again?
Did you and I ever have an argument?
Yes.
And again, as to foundation of when.
I'll
17.
allow him to answer. You can answer.
Ooh.
I'm sure we had.
Lori, 3.
I don't know how you would define argument, but disagreements.
Face to face, you and I? Before the June 25th?
Hold on.
That's all I'm asking. Just before
Okay,
that.
maybe rephrase it.
So by the time we met in 2008 until June 25th, 2019, did you and I ever have an argument?
Is there something you're looking for that you're trying to specify? And I'm not sure I can. That's a broad question that I can't think of a specific time where we argued face to face. If that's what you're looking for.
Correct. So you and I have never had an argument in our lifetimes.
I wouldn't agree with that. I would say that there have for sure been disagreements between us, but I can't think of a specific time that I could share where me and you face to face argued. I'm not a confrontational person.
Me either.
You've known me for all these years. Am I a confrontational person?
And I'm going to object to character
So-
evidence under 404 and 405.
Sustained.
Would you agree that I supported you as a husband and a father to your children?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Sustained.
This is not right.
So in your testimony yesterday, you talked about this long argument that you had with Melanie. Was that on the same day on June 25th, 2019?
It was.
Okay. And you said it was a long argument. How long did that go on?
It started in the afternoon and it went through past midnight.
So several hours.
Yes.
I'm very
And
angry.
you remember this date because that was the day you sent me those text messages. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say that's the only reason I remember that date. It's a painful date.
Okay. So you remember that date specifically?
Yeah, I do remember that day.
Asked and answered.
And you had mentioned that this argument
It is
started as a
disgusting.
result of Melanie not wanting to attend your grandfather's funeral. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you were aware that Melanie had trauma with all funerals because her mother passed away when she was 9. Is that correct?
Object to relevance.
And testifying.
I'll overrule the objection. He can answer if he knows the answer.
I can't say why Melanie was feeling the way she was feeling. I'm not Melanie.
But you know she had an issue with funerals before your grandfather passed away.
As I said, I'm not Melanie. I can't say what she had an issue with or not.
But you're aware that her mother passed away when she was 9, right?
Asked and
It's when
answered.
my mother passed away.
And that she had to go to the funeral.
I'm going to object to relevance.
Also staying at this point. Go ahead. Next question.
But she's your wife of 10 years, so you knew that about her. Is that correct?
Again, I'm going to object to relevance. Same
Stay.
question.
This is not right at
It's
all.
completely understandable that you would want your wife at your side at your grandfather's funeral. So a disagreement
Objection to
between a couple
testifying.
would begin over that issue. That's not
Objection to
far-fetched, right?
testifying.
That's a statement. Can you, if you want to phrase it as a question, go ahead.
So your argument began because of this issue with not wanting to go to your grandfather's funeral. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right, Ashley?
And was Melanie upset or crying at that point?
No, just me.
Okay. So during this long, several-hour disagreement, you would have covered a myriad of topics. Is that correct?
Can you define a myriad of topics?
Just several different things probably came up during this very long argument.
We talked about several different things, yes.
Right, Meg?
And one of those things I had come up in the conversation. Is that correct?
One of the things that came up was you getting your tempo recommend and me hacking your computer.
So I'm saying I was brought up in that long conversation just the one time?
I don't know if I could say just the one time. It was quite a long time we spent on that particular topic, which was bothersome.
Okay. So as you were trying to change the subject, Melanie was going back to that?
As I was trying to understand why it was important to her, she focused very much on the subject, yes.
Okay. And you had stated before that Melanie saw me as a mother to her. Is that correct?
I said a mother-like figure.
Right. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that your mother-in-law would be brought into a very long argument. Is that correct?
Objection.
Objection, speculation, relevance.
Or someone close to your wife.
Sustained.
But I was not the focus of that entire argument. Is that correct?
My focus was my family, my wife and my children. I love them and I didn't want them to go through pain.
Is that what you spent all those hours arguing?
Yeah, because I love them and I wanted to work through things with my wife. Yes, I didn't spend it for any other reason.
And during this argument, there were several issues that you discussed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And one of those issues was Melanie informing you of text messages that she had viewed?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Is one of those issues a video of you on Facebook dancing at the pink pony that Melanie showed you?
Object to relevance, to 404, the evidence, and 403.
Sustained.
This is so wrong.
Did Melanie show you a video of yourself
Object
during
again
that
to the same
argument?
manner.
Sustained.
What else was discussed in this argument?
Objection, relevance, foundation, something specific.
And harassing a witness.
I'll sustain the objection.
We need to make that sticker. Remind me, okay?
How many topics would you say were gone over during this long interview, long argument?
I couldn't say.
So until, did I ever answer the text messages that you sent to me?
I never received a reply.
Mm-hmm.
Were you at that point blaming me for that argument? In your mind?
I think that the only people who can be responsible for ourselves is ourselves, so I was focused on myself and my wife.
That would take away from motive if that wasn't a point of view.
Okay. So that argument ended up beginning your divorce proceedings, is that correct?
At the end of that argument, she told me that she needed a divorce, correct?
And who filed for divorce?
I did.
And when was that?
In July.
Literally.
Do you know the date that you filed?
It's complicated because I went and met with a mediator, but she didn't file the paperwork for a while. So I guess it depends on how you define who filed for it and when.
Okay. Did you file it with the court? Like file for divorce with the court?
A mediator did.
Okay. Oh, so you don't know when she actually put the paperwork in, is that correct?
Correct.
When did you meet with her? Do you remember that?
I do.
What day was that?
In July.
You don't remember which day in July?
We met several times.
Okay. Did you meet with her on your own, or did you and Melanie just meet with her together?
We met with her together.
Every time?
Yes, every time we went together.
This has me feeling dirty. I don't like this at
And
all.
that started in July.
Correct.
And do you know when that was final?
Mid-October.
She's the
And
dark
you were
one.
able to come to mutual agreements during that time with the mediator?
Can you give me more? What are you looking for specifically on that?
I'm just saying the mediation was completed, so you came to your agreements. Is that correct?
We filed for divorce, so yes.
Okay. So when was it that Melanie moved into the rental house from the house that you were living together in?
No, this is not her brother. Her brother, well, the one that she co-conspired with to unalive him, is deceased. Well, allegedly, until they tell her that she did. But all her other ones are guilty. This is the third trial, day 2, yes. And she's her own juror, by choice. And she is questioning her victim in such a way that, yeah, twisting the knife tenfold. There's no way this should be allowed.
I believe I moved her on July 14th, I believe. I'm not certain.
Not officially. No.
And then you stayed in the house until what date?
Until my home sold.
No proof of it.
When was that?
It was ruled natural.
We got it under contract in September, beginning of September, and closing was October 1st.
Okay.
Think about it.
And when did you move into your rental house? What day was that?
Me too. I don't understand. Like, are they checked out
Mid-September.
completely?
To late September. It might have been in the 25th, 24th, 26th, somewhere in there.
Take your heads out of the sand and get a backbone. Damn. Don't let this keep happening.
And then you had a schedule with the children, is that correct?
No relevance at all.
Can you ask that question?
I'm just saying you had agreed to a schedule with the children, is that correct?
Part of our divorce, we had a schedule, yes.
After this, she may as well
And
just
so
plead.
on October 2nd, all 4 children were with you, is that correct?
It depends on what time you're speaking about.
Well, they spent the night with you, so they would have woke up with you on October 2nd. is that
Well, not
correct?
a
On
co-conspirator.
October 2nd night, they slept with their mom. On October 1st night, they slept with me.
Okay.
I'm gonna throat punch her. I'm not gonna lie.
That night turned into October 2nd, is that correct?
If you're saying October 2nd in the morning, then yes, that would be, my kids would have still been at my house in the morning.
Yes, okay. And then
She says it.
you had taken them to
Okay.
school, is that correct, in the morning?
Correct.
You said that you guys got up, you had food, you were getting ready,
Yes.
normal, typical morning, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Sign her
And
up.
then you dropped off your 2 oldest at their elementary school, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you took Breeze to her mom and dropped her off at the park, is that correct?
Correct.
And then you took Blake to his preschool and dropped him off, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then where did you go from there?
I went to the gym.
What was the name of your gym? I'm sorry.
EOS.
And you worked out for, you said, an hour to an hour and a half?
Yeah, I wasn't watching it super close, so I can't tell you exactly how long it was.
Okay. And then you drove straight home, is that correct?
From the gym, yes.
Now, on that day, You had an interview with Detective Pillar, is that correct?
Correct.
Is that the first time that you met Detective Pillar?
Yes.
Was on that day on October 2nd, 2018?
Correct.
And in that interview, you told him basically what had happened, is that correct?
I answered the questions that he asked, yeah.
And you told him all about Melanie, is that correct?
It's a pretty broad question. I don't know that I could say that I told him all about Melanie.
I believe he's
So you
remarried.
discussed Melanie, is that correct?
We did, yes.
And you discussed me, is that correct?
We did, yes.
Get over yourself.
And he had asked you kind of what happened, is that correct?
He asked me what happened? Yes, he asked me what happened.
And you talked about your divorce, is that correct?
We did discuss parts of my divorce, yes.
And you had told Detective Pillar that someone had convinced her that you were gay, is that correct?
Can you ask that question again?
You had told Detective Pillar that someone had convinced Melanie that you were gay.
I can't remember if I specifically told him that someone had convinced Melanie that I was gay. I would have to review the conversation I had with him to be able to say for certain that's how I worded it.
Okay. Do you recall telling him that she has a friend named Lori? Melanie?
I did not say she has a friend named Lori. No.
You didn't? Would you like to look at your interview?
I
To refresh
said that
your recollection?
I said that she has an aunt named Lori.
Would you like to review this to refresh your recollection?
Sure.
Okay.
Ms. Hicks,
I am so proud of him right here.
exhibit she needs to approach with.
No, he didn't back down. He didn't back down. He could have backed down. He just could have said, okay. But no, he wants to see it. He's taking his power back right here. He is taking his power back right here. Yeah, it can't get much worse, can it?
She just wants to show him to refresh his memory.
I apologize.
You got it. Message me that, will you? I tend to forget things.
If you want to just read that page to yourself, and then I can ask you a question again.
Because this is her last performance in her mind. She's gracing us with all this in her mind. In her mind, we all adore her. We all worship her. And she could do no wrong. This is batshit crazy.
Did that refresh your memory, Brandon?
I read that. I think that maybe a transcriptionist miswrote that because I wouldn't have referred to you as a friend named Lori. I would have referred to you as an aunt named Lori.
Okay. And it was me that you were talking about that convinced her that you were gay? Is that what you were referring to?
In that context, I never said that Lori is the one who convinced Melanie that I was gay.
Okay.
My understanding, yeah.
So in the second paragraph, it didn't say she's the one that convinced her that I'm gay?
impeachment, refreshing, I'm not sure what she was doing.
Sustain.
27.
Would you like to read it again?
If you would like me to, I can read it again.
Okay.
This is not fair. This is the ultimate humiliation format, in my opinion. This is her revenge. This is her revenge for turning his back on her. In her mind, in my opinion.
It's line 251. Thank you. Did that refresh your recollection?
Yes, I read a different line. That is the in 251. I did specifically say that I thought you.
That I had convinced her.
Can you ask that
That I
question?
had convinced Melanie that you were gay?
I said that I specifically thought that you had been involved in convincing her that I'm gay. Yes, correct.
Okay. And so she did not show you herself a video of you dancing at the Pink Pony. Is that
Again, Your
correct?
Honor, to relevance to 404B.
Sustained. It's all sustained.
This is for educational purposes only, you guys. I just want to say that I do not agree with this at all. I am 100% against this happening.
And what was your understanding of how I convinced Melanie of this accusation?
We have speculation.
Can we sidebar?
Why did he say that like a question? He said, can we sidebar? You're the judge. Why would you say, can we? I know I'm misdirecting and I'm deflecting, but we cannot hear that. That's all their headphones. I was worried this was going to happen. You guys remember I said this, right? I was so worried that this was going to happen. I am so disappointed that he did not stop this sooner. Hold on, I'll look. They're in sidebar. Yes, there is. Yeah, I have it in my head now too. Oh, they're arguing. They're going at it. They're probably going to end up having to remove her to another room, just like Daryl Brooks, and forfeit the continuing of her questioning, just like Daryl Brooks. If they show the video, but what does that have to do with what happened to him besides motive, which wouldn't be good for her? You don't want to point out your own obvious motive for doing this. Come on. You got to have some common sense up here. Any common sense. And some kind of heart, but no. Hers is already gone. Cold as ice, that one. Just motive. Just proving a motive. But she's proving her own motive. Because, in my opinion only, I'm not a professional, not a psychiatrist, none of that. She is still finishing her mission. She wasn't done with him. This is the only one of her victims, other than, her other son who she didn't hurt physically. This is the only one that is left. This is the only one that got away. It took 2 times for Tammy, but this is the only one that she didn't see through to the final.